Chapter 1170. The Baldy in Red was aggressive. He had joined forces with at least 30 martial arts schools and wanted to cause trouble at Li Fan's 7 Xia martial arts school. Everyone in Ji City's martial arts schools was in danger. The martial arts schools that had been kicked by Lu Xiaohu were in despair. As for the martial arts schools that had not been kicked, everyone was in danger. They were afraid that they would be the next target to be kicked. Therefore, under the influence of the Baldy in Red, this group of people gathered together again. This time, they had more people and were ready to demonstrate their strength to the 7 Xia martial arts school. Brothers, we can't let the 7 Xia martial arts school look down on us. The Baldy in Red shouted as he walked. Yes, that's right. Let them see our strength. The people from the 7 Xia martial arts school are too much. How can we open a martial arts school? A group of martial artists followed suit and shouted. They seemed to be very angry. Soon, this group of people gathered in front of the 7 Xia martial arts school. When they arrived, they were all stunned. At the entrance of the 7 Xia martial arts school, there were dozens of men in black suits. Each of them looked fierce and had a saber hanging on their waist. They were like door guards. The Baldy in Red was stunned. He looked at one of the men in a white suit, who seemed to be of a higher rank. He could not help but ask. Friend. What are you doing? Get lost. The man in the white suit shouted. No one is allowed to approach. Fuck, you guys are looking down on us. The Baldy in Red was furious. He was about to bring his men to teach these ignorant guys a lesson. However, the man in the white suit pulled out a pistol from his waist and turned off the safety. The group of men in black suits behind him pulled out their pistols and aimed at the martial artists in front of them. The martial artists were scared out of their wits. What was going on? Why were they playing with guns? Big brother, I was wrong. The Baldy in Red was terrified. No matter how powerful he was no match for a gun. You. Which street are you from? The main road. Di Wuliang rolled his eyes. Hurry up and leave. Don't be an eyesore here. The Baldy in Red could only leave resentfully. He thought to himself that Li Fan was too much to hire so many plainclothes policemen to guard his house. I didn't expect the royal guards to have such a wonderful use. Li Fan saw this scene from the window and couldn't help but laugh. What a coincidence. Master, it's not good for these idiots to surround the door every day. Lu Xiaohu was a little worried and asked Li Fan, they all look fierce. If they stand here, how can our dojo business continue? Not bad, you're starting to think. Li Fan laughed. Actually, I've already thought of a way. Ah. Lu Xiaohu was taken aback. Master had already calculated it. Tonight, I will chase these people away. Li Fan said mysteriously, then turned around and went back to the room. Lu Xiaohu was a little confused. He couldn't read his master's mind. In the past, master was very direct. Basically, he would say whatever came to his mind. But now, his master had an unfathomable appearance, and he had the demeanor of those hidden experts. Forget it, forget it. I won't think about it anymore. My head hurts. Lu Xiaohu turned around and saw the 3 apprentices behind him laughing at him. Damn, what are you guys laughing at? Nothing, nothing. Eldest senior brother is mighty. Wang Xiaoran said hurriedly. Yes, yes, eldest senior brother is mighty and domineering. Invincible. The skinny guy flattered. Bullshit, master is much more powerful than me. You guys are not being honest, right? Add an hour of Zama. Ah. These apprentices were on the verge of tears, and Lu Xiaohu's anger was finally vented. But he still couldn't figure out how master could drive away these hooligans from the royal guards. If only Sister Lin Yuhsan was here. She would definitely be able to guess it. Even if the military counselor was here, the military counselor was resourceful. he should be able to figure out Master's thoughts. No, I have to ask. Lu Xiaohu thought for a long time. Who should he ask about this? Let's look for Jiang Yi. She's pretty smart. But Lu Xiaohu didn't want to look for her. He would definitely be laughed at by her. Yes, he couldn't look for this girl even if he was beaten to death. Should he ask Murong Ai? Master's sister-in-law seemed to be quite smart. She should be fine, right? Yes, yes, yes. Lu Xiaohu thought of this and went to Murong Ai's room. Li Fan specially prepared an entertainment room for the two little girls. Inside, there were computers and game consoles. It was convenient for the two little girls to play. The two girls had nothing to do but sit together and play games every day, which saved Li Fan a lot of trouble. Bottom lane. Come and support me from the bottom lane. Wait, I'm farming. Dragon girl. What happened to being invincible in the jungle? Ahem. Wait for a while, the two girls played passionately. Lu Xiaohu stood at the door and watched for a long time, feeling that there was no room for him to interrupt. He hesitated for a while and left the room. It was better to ask Imperial Concubine Zhou. Maybe she would know. At this time, Imperial Concubine Zhou was sitting on the balcony on the second floor. She would come here at this time every day to collect qi. For Imperial Concubine Zhou, because she practiced the 9 Buddha Sutra, she had to keep absorbing other people's life force to survive. Under Li Fan's control, she could only go outside every day to absorb some sporadic life force to replenish herself. Absorbing a little every day could at most reduce the lifespan of the people nearby by 1 or 2 years. Moreover, with Imperial Concubine Zhou's current strength, her absorption area could cover the entire Ji city. In this way, not only could she maintain her life, but she could also slowly increase her strength. Not only that, she also absorbed some vitality from Li Fan through dual cultivation, allowing her true qi to evolve. The current Imperial Concubine Zhou seemed to have the prestige of the undying evil Buddha of the past. That Imperial Concubine, sorry to disturb you. Lu Xiaohu came to the balcony on the second floor and looked at Imperial Concubine Zhou sitting on the second floor. He couldn't help but feel a little timid. Although he had lived in the dojo for a while, Lu Xiaohu was still a little afraid of Imperial Concubine Zhou. This woman, he heard that she used to be a very scary person. I must be more sincere in my attitude. I mustn't make her angry. Imperial Concubine. Do you have time? I have something to ask. Speak. Imperial Concubine Zhou was still sitting there, with her back facing Lu Xiaohu. He had to say that this Imperial Concubine was not only beautiful, but her voice was also very pleasant to hear. That, Lu Xiaohu was usually bold, but in front of Imperial Concubine Zhou, he was very timid. Come forward and speak. Imperial Concubine Zhou's voice came again. Is this Empress very scary? No, no, Lu Xiaohu did not dare to explain. He hurriedly walked forward and then knelt beside Imperial Concubine Zhou. Speak, this Empress is listening. Chapter 1171. That. I just don't understand. Imperial Concubine Zhou, look, there are so many eyesores downstairs, it makes me unhappy, right? Lu Xiaohu adjusted his state of mind and pointed at the royal guards below. Of course. Imperial Concubine Zhou coldly snorted, if it weren't for Li Fan, I would have turned them all into bones. Lu Xiaohu's heart was beating fast, this woman is really dangerous, but Master told me today that he already has a way to drive these people away. Oh, really? Imperial Concubine Zhou thought for a moment, I think I know, this Li Fan really likes to cause trouble, it's much more convenient to just kill them. Imperial Concubine. You already thought of it? Of course. Imperial Concubine Zhou seemed to be talking about a trivial matter, Li Fan wants to lead these people away. Led? Well, you'll know tonight. But, this method is really troublesome. I also think that it's better to directly defeat them. Lu Xiaohu was also a relatively direct and brainless person. This bunch of dogs, I really want to beat them up. I can understand what you're thinking. Imperial concubine Zhou said slowly, but since Li Fan has decided, you should be more obedient, don't ruin your master's plan, understand? Yes. Lu Xiaohu did not dare to say half a word and immediately nodded in agreement. Well, go down, I'm going to continue to collect qi. Yes, Imperial concubine. Lu Xiaohu went back to continue training apprentices. At the same time, he muttered in his heart, why do they all like to keep me guessing? So annoying. Lu Xiaohu was a little crazy, for the first time he felt that this day was so difficult. Why is it not night yet? Lu Xiaohu was so anxious that it was finally night. After entering the night, Li Fan ordered the dojo to turn off the lights early, even the apprentices were allowed to rest early. But Lu Xiaohu could not sleep, he sat in the living room, still thinking about what strategy his master would use. At this time, he saw his master coming out of the room. With every step he took, his figure changed a little. Soon, his body became slender and delicate, no different from Jin Hisao's. After that, Li Fan put on Jin Hisao's hoodie over his head and jumped out of the window. Lu Xiaohu instantly understood. So that's how it is. Master was too cunning, actually playing such a trick to lure the tiger away from the mountain. Di Wuliang and the others waited for half a month, but there was still no movement from the Seven Heroes Martial Arts School. It was as if Jin Jiumao really didn't exist. However, Di Wuliang had seen Jin Hisao enter the dojo with his own eyes. He believed that as long as he waited, he would definitely be able to catch the thief. Just as Di Wuliang yawned, he saw a familiar figure jump out of the back window of the dojo. Su Hisao. You're finally here. Di Wuliang sneered. Brothers, follow her, don't let her escape. The surrounding men in black suits all got into action and followed Di Wuliang. They leaped onto roofs and vaulted over walls, chasing after Jin Hisao's figure. After chasing for a while, Di Wuliang felt a little depressed. Jin Hisao's lightness skill was so good that she leaped from building to building. A group of royal guards were chasing closely behind her, but they couldn't catch up. Iron Claw Unit. Attack from the left. Di Wuliang ordered through the walkie-talkie, and the royal guards on the left quickly jumped up. Jin Hisao jumped from the side of a building, somersaulted in the air, and landed on the opposite side. The royal guards on the left also followed. They stood at the edge of the building and threw their claws at Jin Hisao. 10 claws grabbed at Jin Kyumo at the same time, but Jin Kyumo suddenly kicked with his left foot and used the Wudang Cloud ladder to dodge the claws below. Then, he successfully landed on the opposite building. However, Di Wuliang had already taken advantage of this time to block the building with more than 10 royal guards, waiting for Jin Hisao to fall into the trap. Jin Hisao landed right in the middle of the royal guards' encirclement. Each of the royal guards carried a long saber and rushed forward, slashing at Jin Hisao. Don't kill her. I want her alive. Di Wuliang was very happy. After capturing Jin Hisao, he wanted to get information about Yi Jian from her. Once he captured Yi Jian, he would have made a great contribution. At that time, let alone a vehicle-level officer, he might even become a horse-level officer. Jin Hisao, Yi Jian, they were all bargaining chips for his meteoric rise. These royal guards were soldiers that had been enhanced by the government's advanced technology. They were all from the 4 great families and had a chip implanted in their bodies. It was said that this was a high-grade chip jointly developed by the United States and China. It could enhance the skills of the human body and activate the attributes of the human body to the most perfect state. Di Wuliang had such a chip in his body, but the attributes on it were only at the canon level. Although these royal guards had submitted to the government, they had also taken the energy-dispersing pill. Only with the use of the chip could they become stronger. When they increased in level, the attributes of the chip would also increase, and they would become stronger. This was the strategy of the government to control the royal guards. They could use the chip to strengthen the royal guards, but they could also use the chip to destroy them. Once the royal guards went out of control, they would just have to press a button and they would be destroyed. At this moment, these soldier-level royal guards surrounded Jin Hisao and tried to capture her. However, Jin Hisao used the mantis fist and directly knocked down a royal guard who had rushed in front of her. Di Wuliang looked at his subordinate with a bloody hole in his head expressionlessly. It didn't matter if his subordinates died. Their deaths wouldn't be in vain. They would only help him climb higher. Jin Hisao was indeed an officer of Yi Jian. Her martial arts were not bad, and she had already killed 4 royal guards in an instant. Her mantis fist was vicious and extremely fatal, and the surrounding royal guards could not even get close to her. A bunch of trash. Di Wuliang was a little unhappy. After so long, they still could not capture a young lady. He was about to step forward and take action himself, but the other party suddenly rose from the ground, stepped on the heads of a few royal guards, and used Qinggong to quickly escape. Where do you think you're going? Di Wuliang panicked. It was not easy to reach this stage, so he must not let her escape. Di Wuliang drew his sword and threw a ray of sword qi at Jin Hisao's figure in midair. However, Jin Hisao's Qinggong was too powerful, and in an instant, she was tens of meters away. Qi could not catch up at all. Damn it! Damn it! Di Wuliang cursed angrily. You bunch of useless trash. You actually let her escape. What the hell are you all doing? Sir! What should we do now? Slap. Di Wuliang slapped his subordinate. Trash. Return to the military first. Then make a decision. Chapter 1172. Li Fan played a trick and successfully tricked the imperial army away from his dojo. Early the next morning, there was no imperial guards in front of the 7 Heroes Martial Arts School. However, before Li Fan could relax, General Ran, the person in charge of the 12 heavenly generals, sent 2 sentries to stand guard in front of his martial arts school. What do you mean? Li Fan held the phone and said in a bad tone, I just sent away a group of brats, and you invited 2 Buddhas for me? Major Li, you misunderstood. They are here to protect you. General Ran explained, now the people above want to deal with you. Aren't I helping you? You think you can help me with just 2 soldiers? They are definitely not as powerful as you, but their existence can be used to warn those who want to deal with you. Besides, they are your own people. Why are you unhappy? You're a cadre of the military, right? What's wrong with giving you 2 guards? Can't you give me 2 female guards? Little Li. You just became a colonel at such a young age. You have some achievements, but you are already thinking of corruption. General Ran criticized Li Fan bitterly, you have disappointed the organization. Then please fire me from the organization. But considering that you are unmarried and full of vigor, it is not impossible for the organization to accommodate you. That afternoon, there were 2 female soldiers in front of Li Fan's door. Li Fan was dumbfounded. He was just joking, but he didn't expect to get 2 female soldiers. In Li Fan's mind, there should be 2 types of female soldiers. The first type was black and ugly. They were strong and could fight against 8 men alone. The other type was the artistic soldiers, who specialized in pleasing the leaders. They were beautiful but useless. But the 2 female soldiers in front of him were obviously different. One of them had fair skin and a ponytail. The other had wheat-colored skin and short hair. No matter which one, both of them had an outstanding aura, and they were both beauties. It was amazing that the military could find 2 such female soldiers. Guard by Shui of the Red Arrow Brigade reporting to Captain Li. Red Arrow Brigade, Guard Zhao Yan reporting to Officer Li. Of the 2 female soldiers, one had a soft voice while the other had a sharp and experienced voice. They had different tastes. Red Arrow Brigade. What is that? Li Fan had never heard of this unit. Li Fan saw that the wheat-skinned Zhao Yan curled her lips. Bai Shui seemed to be quite patient and explained everything to Li Fan. Sir, the Red Arrow Brigade is a special unit created by Commander Ran. The special forces in this unit were all elites drawn from the various units below them. After many rounds of selection, they were finally implanted with the dragon chip. The mission of the Red Arrow Brigade is to protect the safety of the leaders and carry out various secret missions. Red Arrow Brigade? All female soldiers. Zhao Yan seemed to be pouting again. Yes, sir. Bai Shui nodded, and Li Fan immediately got the wrong idea. It's not what you think, sir. Zhao Yan finally opened her mouth to speak. Although she maintained her indifference, there was still a bit of sarcasm in her voice that could not be suppressed. The purpose of female soldiers is to make the enemy lose their guard. When they think that we are harmless, we will be like a poisonous thorn, directly stabbing into the enemy's heart. It sounds quite powerful, but what the hell is this dragon chip? Li Fan did not want to argue with a little girl. Perhaps he was the lowest-ranked officer that she had ever served. Female Bodyguard Brigade, Li Fan somewhat admired General Rant's new idea. This made Li Fan think of a Hong Kong movie that he had watched before, Overlord Flower. The dragon chip is the latest technology, specially used to increase the human body's potential. Bai Shui said, after implanting it into the human body, it can increase the individual's combat ability. The chip is divided into 7 levels: General, Soldier, Carriage, Artillery, and Soldier. I know, so the Royal Army is also equipped with this thing. Yes, sir. Then what are the levels of the two of you? Sir, both of us have implanted vehicle-level chips. The 2 female soldiers reported. Vehicle level, Li Fan had fought with the Royal Guards yesterday. The strength of the ordinary soldiers of the Royal Guards was around the impeccable realm. And the cannon level Di Wuliang should have the strength to reach the next level. If it is vehicle level, will he have the strength to reach the peak? It should be impossible. If it is like this, then how high would the general level be? Wouldn't they be invincible? They should have their own strength assessment method. Li Fan is very interested to try it. Jiang Yi. Li Fan ordered. His second disciple came from the side and respectfully stood at the side. Can the 2 of you let my disciple spar with you? Li Fan politely asked. The 2 of you can use your full strength, no need to be lenient. Is this an order? Bai Shui was somewhat surprised and did not answer. When Zhao Yan reacted, she directly asked. Well, just take it as an order. Li Fan nodded his head. Sir, then let me do it. Zhao Yan volunteered as if she knew that Bai Shui would be lenient. Li Fan stood there and signaled Zhao Yan to do as she pleased. Zhao Yan did not stand on ceremony. Even if the opponent is young, she does not mind. A soldier's duty is to obey. She took a step forward and stretched out her hand to capture Jiang Yelai. But Jiang Ye's shoulder shook and shook Zhao Yan's hand away. Huh? Zhao Yan was surprised. But she is after all a professional soldier. Although her hand was pushed away, she moved her body to the side and directly went behind Jiang Yi and kicked her calf. Although their physique has been strengthened, they are still trained in the military's fighting techniques. Li Fan saw it clearly and did not give any advice to Jiang Yi. Instead, he wanted to see how she would counterattack. However, Jiang Yi was not flustered. She turned around nimbly and stuck out her leg to block her kick. Zhao Yan frowned. This should be the first time she is dealing with a martial practitioner. How strong a martial practitioner is, Zhao Yan probably does not know. But Zhao Yan is after all a special force trained by the Red Arrow Brigade. Her leg was locked, but she waved her hand and hit Jiang Ye's throat. Jiang Yi used the snake strike technique to the extreme. She used her right hand to block Zhao Yan's hand and at the same time, stabbed her throat, changing from defense to offense. Zhao Yan was more and more surprised. She felt that she is dealing with a terrifying poisonous snake. Her other hand slapped upwards, trying to block Jiang Ye's attack. However, Jiang Yi retracted his palm and then spat out an invisible wave that struck Zhao Yan's body. Zhao Yan was pushed away by this wave and was shocked. This is true qi. More or less. Li Fan nodded and made a gesture of thanks to Zhao Yan. Let's stop here. You have worked hard. Chapter 1173. Li Fan let Jiang Yi fight with Zhao Yan for a while, and he had already deduced her strength. She was in the middle stage of the Ascended Realm. However, she only had strength, her fighting skills were more suitable for killing people and completing missions. But thinking about it, there were not many people who could defeat Jiang Yi here. After losing to Lu Xiaohu last time, Jiang Yi trained herself even harder and became more abnormal. Even Li Fan couldn't imagine that training herself alone could be so abnormal. No matter what, with 2 girls guarding his door, Li Fan was quite satisfied. Identity, this was identity. However, the 2 girls were only on duty during the day, and they only needed to rest at night. After all, it was just a facade, and they couldn't stand guard day and night. But General Ran arranged for the 2 girls to spend the night at Li Fan's place. In General Ran's words, Li Fan rented a small apartment behind the martial arts center, which was specifically for the apprentices to use as a dormitory. There were still other places to live, and it wasn't a problem to have 2 more girls. Jean Jiuma and the others also lived there, and the accommodation was not bad. You too, do you want to learn some simple attack skills from me? One day after the Lantern Festival, Li Fan suddenly became interested and asked the 2 girls. After all, there was nothing for the past few days, and the Martial Arts Association was also very calm and didn't come looking for him for the past 2 days. However, Li Fan estimated that it would probably only be a few days. If this continued, the Martial Arts Association would lose face, and how could they open the Martial Arts Center? Sir, that's not good. Bai Shui was a little embarrassed. After all, they were ordered to protect Li Fan. But in the end, they still needed Li Fan to teach them how to practice martial arts. There's no need, sir. Zhao Yan didn't seem to want to learn. We have our own way, your fancy moves are not suitable for us. In Zhao Yan's heart, she still seemed to look down on martial artists. Last time you fought with my disciple, do you still think martial arts is just a trick? Li Fan wasn't angry. People had a lot of misunderstandings about martial arts, and this was a habit formed for decades, and it needed to be slowly changed. I was careless last time, but if you want me to kill her, I can do it. Zhao Yan spoke her mind. Li Fan smiled. Although what Zhao Yan said was the truth, she didn't understand Jiang Ye's strength. This girl, Jiang Yi, was the real little princess of assassination. In that case, let's play a game. Sir, we're still standing guard. Zhao Yan silently rolled her eyes. It won't take up any time. Don't you have time tonight? I'll explain the rules of the game and see if you're interested. Sir, please speak. Bai Shui's temper was much better, and Li Fan was happy to talk to her. It was much better than talking to Zhao Yan. Zhao Yan talked to him every day as if she had eaten gunpowder. She was filled with anger. Although they were all soldiers trained by the same team, their personalities were still very different. Let me ask you something first. When the 2 of you were in the army, your overall strength was about the same, right? Yes. White Snow nodded. How about this, White Snow, I'll teach you for 2 days. After 2 days, you and Zhao Yan will have a match to see who's stronger. How about it? What's the bet? Zhao Yan seemed to be interested. If White Snow wins, then you'll learn from me. Li Fan was very excited. If you win, I'll agree to let the 2 of you go, so that you won't be bored in my small dojo. How about it? Okay. Zhao Yan immediately agreed. When they were in the army, although their overall strength was about the same, but in terms of fighting ability, she never won against him. This time, Li Fan will definitely lose. This can't be blamed on me. It's Li Fan who is seeking death. Zhao Yan was unhappy for a few days, but today she was finally a little happier. Okay, then let's start tonight. Li Fan raised 2 fingers, 2 days' time. After 2 days, we'll see the result in the dojo. Yes, sir. Li Fan felt that Zhao Yan's reply was very straightforward. This girl, how much does she hate him? What are you doing? Imperial concubine Zhou leisurely walked out from the courtyard. She was wearing a white traditional Chinese dress with her hair coiled into a bun with a red jade phoenix hairpin. This imperial concubine's steps were light and her posture was languid. This was the so-called thousands of amorous feelings that could cause the downfall of a city. Hearing the movement outside the courtyard, she stopped and looked at Li Fan. Seeing that he was happily chatting with the two female soldiers, she could not help but feel jealous. This guy doesn't even let the female soldiers go. I'm chatting with them. Li Fan explained, let's talk about, academic issues. Nonsense. Imperial concubine Zhou gently rolled her eyes at Li Fan. Obviously, she didn't believe his words. These few days, there are some things in the club that this concubine needs to deal with. Without this concubine here, you have to be careful. Imperial concubine Zhou seemed to be worried and warned Li Fan. What are you afraid of? What can happen to me? Li Fan laughed, I have someone above me. So you're saying that this concubine's concern is unnecessary? Imperial concubine Zhou's question made Li Fan speechless. Well, your concern is right. Li Fan cupped his hands, my imperial concubine, you are the Guanyin Bodhisattva that saves all living beings, beautiful and generous. Quickly take a rest. Imperial concubine Zhou almost laughed, only a ghost would believe you. Quickly go and chat. Yes. Imperial concubine. Li Fan's respectful appearance made the two female soldiers unable to restrain their laughter. I don't care about you anymore. This concubine will go first. If there's anything else, let's talk later. Imperial concubine Zhou said. She shook off Yun Luoxiu and with a light step, her whole body suddenly soared into the sky. In the blink of an eye, she jumped more than 5 meters high and landed on the opposite second floor. Then she stomped her feet and jumped from the second floor. In a flash, she jumped above another martial arts building 7 meters away. After a few teleportations, she had already disappeared, leaving behind 2 dumbfounded female soldiers. This is Qinggong. Zhao Yan could not help but ask. Zhao Yan. At this time, Bai Shui became serious. She fiercely glared at Zhao Yan, hinting her to overstep. I'm sorry, senior officer. I spoke too much. Zhao Yan quickly apologized. It doesn't matter. This is nothing that can't be said. Li Fan waved his hand, it is indeed Qinggong. Every martial artist's most basic skill. Unbelievable. Zhao Yan was slightly lost in thought. She still can't believe this fact. You used the dragon chip, but you can't use Qinggong? The dragon chip only enhances our functions. If you want me to jump 3 meters high, I can do it. But for me to jump so gracefully, like moving clouds and flowing water. This is something that I absolutely cannot do. Do you want to learn? It's useless to learn an escaping skill. Unexpectedly, Zhao Yan once again refused Li Fan. Chapter 1174. Where's Zhao Yan? Li Fan looked at Bai Shui in white sportswear standing in front of him and casually asked. After Zhao Yan rejected him for the second time in the day, Li Fan waited until night time. Sure enough, Bai Shui was waiting for him in the training hall. This valiant female soldier, after wearing the white sportswear, looked clean and graceful. Her soft body and figure made Li Fan feel that she was very good. Especially this girl's character, she was much gentler than Zhao Yan. As long as she was obedient, it would be easy for him to train her, no, it would be easy for him to teach her. Officer, what do I want to learn, Qinggong? Bai Shui was still confused. No, it is indeed useless for you to learn Qinggong. Li Fan explained, I also do not intend to teach you complicated internal energy. First of all, you can't learn it in 2 days, and after you learn it, it will not be good for your identity. The country has a ban on martial arts, I think you know about it. Yes, I have heard about it. And, so, what I want to teach you is relatively simple, release force. Release force? Bai Shui did not understand these terms from Li Fan, but looking at Bai Shui, it made Li Fan have a feeling of returning to the past. At that time, when he was a beginner in martial arts, standing in front of Murong Ying, it was probably the same scene. Yes, to describe it, it is a kind of release force technique. Li Fan said as he placed his palm on the wooden stake beside him. Suddenly, a burst of energy erupted from the wooden stake. The stake was directly broken into 2 pieces and flew far away. This is release force, it can make your attack more powerful. So powerful. Bai Shui was a little surprised, although she also has the ability to break the wooden stake with 1 punch. Release force is obviously a second attack, the effect is not too good. After you hit the enemy, add another release force. I don't need to explain the effect, right? Li Fan stood there with his arms crossed, looking at Bai Shui, giving her a feeling of looking up at a tall mountain. Really strange, this youth, he obviously looks young, why does he have such courage? When he was in the military, he had met many leaders. Some of the generals also had the same aura as Li Fan. That was the domineering aura of someone who had been on the battlefield for a long time. No one dared to look directly at him. Can I learn this? Bai Shui's tone was a bit more respectful. She couldn't help but be respectful towards this youth. Just by standing there, he was like a mountain. Of course, 2 days is enough. Li Fan gave Bai Shui a trustworthy smile. You have the dragon chip in your body, so learning force activation should be a piece of cake. However, I'm curious. Does this dragon chip not have any side effects when it comes to increasing your combat power? There are no side effects. White Snow said confidently, this is the dragon chip that I created after many experiments. However, the dragon chip is completely controlled by the higher-ups. If I show any signs of rebellion, the dragon chip will be shut down immediately. When that happens, my strength will return to the ranks of ordinary special forces soldiers. So that's how it is. What a forceful method of control. Li Fan finally understood why this thing was so powerful. In this way, all combat power was truly in the hands of the government. Unlike the pugilistic world, which was always in an uncontrollable state. No wonder the doves were so confident that they could destroy the pugilistic world. It turned out that they had a card up their sleeve. The super soldiers created by the dragon chip could indeed resist the special forces of various countries in some ways. However, Bai Shui's method of increasing combat power alone was probably not enough. Li Fan thought to himself, the government should have prepared other things, right? Other than the dragon chip, do you have any other equipment? I heard that it's being developed, but I don't know the specifics. Bai Shui shook her head. Sir, I'm just a small soldier after all. That's true. This kind of information should be inquired from General Ran. Alright, let's not talk about this anymore. I'll continue to teach you force activation. Li Fan smiled. We'll be depending on you to win the day after tomorrow. Don't be too affectionate when the time comes. Bai Shui blushed at his words and immediately emphasized. Sir, don't worry. When carrying out a mission, the mission is the most important. I'm just saying, don't take it seriously, haha. Li Fan laughed. This Bai Shui was really cute. Thank you, sir. Don't mention it, just learn from me. Li Fan didn't sleep for the first half of the night. He spent all his time teaching Bai Shui how to force activation. He didn't want to disturb her rest too much, so Li Fan let her go back to rest in the second half of the night. The two of them started standing guard at 5 in the morning every day. Li Fan said that he would give Bai Shui an hour off and let her sleep a little longer, but she refused. It seemed that soldiers were all inflexible in this aspect. Li Fan respected Bai Shui and didn't force her. Early the next morning, after Li Fan woke up, he heard a commotion outside. What's wrong? Li Fan pushed open the door and walked out. The people in the dojo weren't practicing, but had gone outside. Li Fan went out to take a look. Sure enough, a group of martial artists had surrounded the dojo. But with 2 female soldiers standing at the door, they didn't dare to do anything. What's wrong? Why is it so noisy so early in the morning? After Li Fan came out, he immediately saw the most conspicuous red-clothed baldy. Master. Master Li, even the bald man had to admit defeat this time. Master Li, this is the invitation. The bald man stood in front of the dojo with a few of his juniors, attracting the attention of passers-by. Who opened this dojo? It was always so crowded. Oh. Treat me to a meal. Li Fan took the invitation. Master Li is invited to participate in our association's 9 levels arena. 9 levels arena? Li Fan raised an eyebrow. What was this? The president said that as long as you can fight in the 9 levels arena, you can open a dojo here without any conditions. Xiao Hu was at the side. When he heard this, he stepped forward and wanted to beat the bald man in red, but was stopped by Li Fan. Although Lu Xiaohu was young and not tall, when he was angry, his eyes would stare like bells and his hair would tremble. He looked like a ferocious tiger that was about to devour someone. The bald man in red looked at the furious Lu Xiaohu and shivered, not daring to step forward. Xiaohu, what are you doing? Li Fan reprimanded his eldest disciple. Master, who do they think they are? How dare they talk to you like this? Lu Xiaohu was extremely unhappy with these bastards. This dojo was too bumpy. This group of fellows had gone too far. Alright, it's a good opportunity to meet the president of the Martial Arts Association. Li Fan had a smile on his face. He had already planned for this and was just waiting for these people to come knocking on his door. With this invitation card, he would be able to completely dismiss those people who knew martial arts. Go back and tell the president that I agree to this matter. Chapter 1175. Li Fan did not bring Lu Xiaohu with him to the banquet and the arena. He was still young and had a bad temper. He still needed more training. Li Fan was afraid that he would beat up the president of the Martial Arts Association if he could not control himself. It was really inappropriate. At noon, Li Fan brought Jiang Yi to the Fugue restaurant on the street to attend the banquet hosted by the president of the association, Yang Yi. Jiang Yi followed beside Li Fan like a little follower, still holding the extraordinary sword for Li Fan. Although he was the second disciple, he was more like the disciple holding the sword. The Fugue restaurant was not small. It was located on the side of the street. The decoration was quite ancient, with red bricks and green tiles, as if it was a restaurant from the ancient times. In Ji City, there were many ancient buildings with the same style, which had the flavor of the previous dynasty. On the red signboard, there were 4 shining golden words, attracting the customers who came and went. 2 beautiful waitresses in cheongsam stood at the door. They were tall and exquisite with light makeup. When the 2 of them saw Li Fan, they bowed to him in unison, making Li Fan mistakenly think that they were the nobles of the past. Welcome, sir. That delicate voice sounded in Li Fan's ears, making him feel like his bones were about to go limp. The people in this restaurant really knew how to do things. It was hard not to enter. However, restaurants like this usually cost a lot. After all, one could not only enjoy the food here, but also the unique service. However, what spoiled the mood was that there were 4 strong martial artists standing next to the 2 palace beauties. The 4 of them seemed to be born from the same mother. Each of them was huge and had a fierce look in their eyes, like the Hulk walking out of a film set. Are you Master Li from the 7 Heroes Martial Arts School? A strong man with a purple birthmark on his face looked at Li Fan and asked in a muffled voice. His voice sounded like he was hitting a broken cowhide drum, making people feel uncomfortable. Yes, Lil Yi. As soon as Li Fan finished speaking, Jiang Yi, who was behind him, stepped forward and handed over a red invitation card. The burly man looked at Jiang Yi again. This girl was wearing the black and red martial arts uniform of the 7 Heroes Dojo. She also wore a black mask on her face to hide her identity. When she was outside, she had to cover her face with a mask. This was the rule that Li Fan had set for Jiang Yi. Right now, the entire Jianghu was filled with Murong's informants. Li Fan didn't want to complicate matters. Master Li, please go upstairs. With a hoarse voice, the burly man extended his hand in invitation. Li Fan was about to go upstairs when the burly man suddenly stretched out his hand and stopped Jiang Yi. What for? Jiang Ye's voice was cold as he questioned. Only Master Li is invited on the invitation card. The rest of you can wait here. Ridiculous. Jiang Yi sneered in disdain. She instantly reached out and grabbed the man's neck. A petite little girl was able to lift this 9-meter-tall brawny man into the air with one hand. The burly man's face turned red. He kicked with all his might like a trapped beast. He kept struggling, but he couldn't break free from Jiang Ye's small hand. The 3 martial masters at the side were shocked. Just as they were about to step forward to help, Jiang Yi coldly scolded. Whoever dares to step forward, I will twist his neck. The burly man waved his hand with all his might. The other 3 martial masters stopped in their tracks, not knowing what to do. At this time, the door of the restaurant was pushed open. A man wearing gold-rimmed glasses and a white trench coat stood there and looked outside. Master Li, what is the meaning of this? May I know who you are? Li Fan pretended to be ignorant. The other party immediately frowned. I am the eldest disciple of the president, Jiang Hu. This restaurant is also my property. Jiang Hu looked at Li Fan with a bit of anger. We, master and disciple, have good intentions. We wanted to entertain Master Li for a banquet. We didn't expect Master Li to be so overbearing, instructing your disciple to hit someone. Did I hit someone? Li Fan looked at Jiang Yi in surprise. Little Yi, did you hit him? No, I just saw that his clothes were dirty, so I helped him clean it up. After saying that, Jiang Yi patted the burly man's chest twice and then put him back on the ground. You see, my disciple also had good intentions. He helped your people clean up the dust. How can you accuse us of hitting someone? The burly man was like a survivor of a disaster. He clutched his neck and squatted on the ground, gasping for breath. He never felt that the air smelled so good. Life, I want to give you a thumbs up. Jiang Hu was speechless. He originally thought that he was just a young man who was easy to deal with. He didn't expect the other party to be so shameless, making him helpless. Since it's a misunderstanding, let's invite Master Li upstairs. Look, someone who runs a big restaurant is so generous. Li Fan pulled Jiang Ye's arm. Let's go. Little Yi, he invited us, master and disciple, to a banquet. We can't neglect him. Let's go upstairs. Oh right, thank you, Boss Jiang. Thank you, Boss Jiang. Jiang Yi followed his master's thoughts and bowed to Jiang Hu. Jiang Hu's body trembled slightly. The other party had already said it like this. How could he refuse? Then please, the 2 of you. Jiang Hu extended her hand and invited the master and disciple to go upstairs. Li Fan swaggered to the 2nd floor. The entire 2nd floor was booked. There were more than 20 tables, but most of them were empty. Only 2 tables were occupied. One table was occupied by 2 old men. One had white hair and a youthful face. He wore a white robe and held a pipe in his hand. The other had white sideburns. He looked handsome and extraordinary. He wore a suit. He looked at Li Fan with disdain. The table next to him was also filled with martial artists. They seemed to be the curators of the various martial arts schools. Because of the different martial arts they practiced, everyone's physique was different. Some had long hands, some had long legs. Some were short, some were strong. It was rare to see so many martial artists gathered in one place. However, everyone looked at Li Fan with hostility. This was a common point. Master Li, let me introduce you. This is the president of the Martial Arts Association. He is also my master, Yang Yi, a master of the Ba Ji sect. The old man with the pipe nodded at Li Fan with a smile. No one could tell what he was thinking. Next to him is Chen Yuanchao, Mr. Chen, a Wing Chun master and the president of the Wing Chun Association. Humph. The old man with white sideburns snorted. He didn't seem to want to talk to Li Fan. This is Master Zhang from the Flying Dragon Martial School. This is Master Wang from the 100 Victories Martial School. This is the Guangming Martial School. Jiang, who was familiar with these people. He introduced everyone's name to Li Fan. Friend Li Fan, please sit. After the introduction, Yang Yi tapped his pipe and pointed at the seat in front of him. He said to Li Fan. Thank you. Li Fan strode forward. When he was about to sit down, Master Zhang from the Flying Dragon Martial Arts School pounded the table, stood up, and scolded him. President Yang, you are generous, but we can't. He has no seniority. Why should he sit at the same table with you? Chapter 1176. Master Zhang slammed the table and the sound reverberated throughout the room. President Yang, we all know that you are magnanimous. But we can't. This Li Fan has no seniority. What right does he have to sit at the same table as you two? Master Zhang's voice was like a bell ringing throughout the room. The surrounding martial artists nodded their heads in agreement. That's right. He doesn't have the right to sit here. Don't mention President Yang's table. He doesn't even have the right to sit at our table. The surrounding people started to complain. However, Li Fan's expression was calm. It was hard to tell whether he was happy or angry on his young face. Hearing these people's complaints, Li Fan only cupped his hands. Everyone, since you don't welcome me, then I will leave. With that, Li Fan turned to go downstairs. Jiang, who jumped in fright and hurriedly stopped Li Fan. Master Li, please wait. You young man. How can you leave after saying a few words, then? If you want to sit, then sit. These martial artists immediately changed their words. If Li Fan left, wouldn't today's matter be a failure? Master Zhang, who was shouting happily just now, was now flushed red. It was as if he didn't know which crack he should crawl into. This was too embarrassing. Li Fan had the cards in his hands. If he wanted to leave, he could leave. His words just now were meant to humiliate Li Fan. But now, it turned out to be humiliating himself. Young friend, don't be angry. People who practice martial arts are straightforward. Come, sit down. The dishes are getting cold. This old man Yang's words were pleasant to hear. But no one knew what he was thinking in his heart. And Li Fan had achieved the effect he wanted. Without hesitation, he sat opposite Yang Yi and Qin Yuanchao. Young friend, you are young and promising. It's really rare. Let me toast you. President Yang raised his wine cup. Li Fan did not bat an eyelid. He also raised his wine cup and started talking nonsense. President Yang is too courteous. Your name is known throughout the 9 states. Sometimes, I would dream of you when I sleep. I would be moved by your might and charm. You are a role model for martial artists, a treasure of China. When these words were spoken, even Jiang Hu, who was serving at the side, could not help but curse in her heart. Damn it, so shameless. Friendly, you're so young, yet you're already so skilled in martial arts. I wonder who your teacher is. Whether it was in the pugilistic world or the world of dojos, the master was very important. This was called seniority. No matter who your teacher was, even if it was a third-rate martial master, as long as you had a good background, you would have a certain status in the Jianghu. But if you relied on yourself and didn't have a master, then you would be looked down upon wherever you went. This Li Fan had originally learned some basics from Murong Ying, and then blazed a new path on his own, creating a martial arts path. Even if he said that his master was Murong Ying, these people probably wouldn't recognize her. However, this was not a problem for Li Fan. He rolled his eyes and got the answer. My master has passed away for many years. I really don't want to talk about him. So he has passed away. However, it's human nature to grow old and die of illness. You and I can't escape this trial. Friendly, who is your teacher? Old Yang did not want to let Li Fan go just like that. Today, he had to show his strength and humiliate Li Fan. My master's surname is Hua. Li Fan chuckled. Mr. Hua. Is it Hua Zhengxiong of Hong Fist or Hua Huanbei of Xingyi Fist? Old Yang mentioned two names. These two people were his good friends. If Li Fan dared to pretend to be them, he would definitely expose Li Fan and make him feel ashamed. Neither. My master's surname is Hua, and his name is Tua. He practices 5 animal frolics. Li Fan's words made everyone dumbfounded. Hua Tua. Didn't Hua Tua die a long time ago? Li Fan did say that his master had passed away many years ago. In the introduction of Li Fan's martial arts school, it said that his kung fu came from 5 animal frolics. Saying that Hua Tua was his master did not seem wrong. You can't just say that, Jiang Hu asked tentatively. Why can't it be counted? President Yang asked me who my master is. I indeed learned 5 animal frolics from Mr. Hua. A teacher teaches and dispels doubts. What do you think is wrong? Li Fan's sophistry left everyone speechless. Even Jiang Hu, who had worked hard in the business world for many years, admired his sophistry. This guy is awesome, everyone. Is there anything else you want to know? The smile on Li Fan's face made everyone hate him. However, they could only grit their teeth in private and did not dare to say anything. Friend Li Fan is indeed a great teacher and disciple. I admire you. It seemed that President Yang was in a good mood. He was not angry or irritable. He was still smiling and drinking with Li Fan. What a load of nonsense. At this time, Chen Yuanchao, who was sitting next to them, could not sit still anymore. He pointed at Li Fan's nose and scolded. Your kung fu is not good, but your ability to make up lies is quite good. It's really bad luck to have a dog like you in the martial arts school. Everyone's spirits rose. They thought to themselves, all right, the real show is finally here. Li Fan, who was acting like a good guy, suddenly darkened his face. Xiao Yi, slap yourself. As soon as he finished speaking, Jiang Yi stepped on the table and used his leg to slap Chen Yuanchao's face. Chen Yuanchao did not even have a chance to react. He flew out and smashed a table next to him. Then, he passed out. Jiang Yi appeared behind Li Fan again and poured him a glass of wine as if he had never left. For a moment, it was as if everyone in the room was dead. Not a single sound could be heard. What happened? The plot is not right. It's not arranged like this. Is the script wrong? Not to mention the fact that Li Fan turned hostile and directly slapped Elder Chen, who played the villain, away. How did the little apprentice make her move? How did Elder Chen get slapped away? He is the senior of Chen's Wing Chun Kung Fu. His Kung Fu is superb. How could he be slapped away so easily? I'm sorry. I have a bad temper. I can't stand others scolding me. Li Fan put down the glass and said with a smile. I hit him hard. I'm willing to pay for his hospitalization. Li Fan. You are too arrogant. Master Zhang, who was sitting at the side, could not help but ask with lingering fear in his heart. He originally wanted to curse, but when he saw the masked Jiang Yi, and then looked at Elder Chen, who was lying on the ground, he didn't know whether he was dead or alive. He forcefully swallowed back the curse, and changed it into a slightly more elegant question. Oh. Am I arrogant? Li Fan chuckled. People who practice martial arts make friends through martial arts. Elder Chen might be old and his kung fu is not good. Why can't he beat my apprentice? By the way, isn't there a 9 Heavens challenge today? When does it start? Chapter 1177. Jiang Yi, this little girl, had a calm mind and was much more quick-witted than Lu Xiaohu. She knew when to cooperate with him, and she did it perfectly. Everyone was stunned after he knocked Chen Yuanchao unconscious, and no one dared to act presumptuously again. No one dared to look down on Li Fan. This man had strength and tricks. Most importantly, he seemed to have a background. The surrounding people looked at Li Fan with fear in their eyes. Friendly. What do you mean by this? Mr. Yang's gaze towards Li Fan was not the same as before. He did not expect Li Fan to turn hostile so quickly. If that was the case, he would not be able to continue his act. Everyone may not know me well, so let me explain. Li Fan's voice was not loud, but it was clearly transmitted to everyone's ears. I don't have a good temper. I'll definitely treat you with respect if you want to discuss things with me. But if you want to threaten me, don't blame me for being impolite. After Li Fan finished speaking, he slammed his palm on the table. With a cracking sound, this solid wood table was directly smashed into pieces by Li Fan, causing dust to fly everywhere. Together with the plates and bowls on it, they all fell to the ground with a clatter and shattered into pieces. The faces of everyone in the room turned green. Smashing a solid wood table with one slap. Was this something a human could do? The group of people panicked and felt uneasy. They did not know how to answer Li Fan. President Yang was also someone who had seen great storms. After calming down for a while, he was finally able to speak. Friendly. Why are you angry? Old Chen is just a straightforward person, there's no need to beat him up like this. Looking at Qin Yuanchao, who was not even sure if he was alive or dead, President Yang felt upset. Don't worry, my disciple knows how to control his strength. He won't die. Li Fan gently comforted them. However, he will have to lie in bed for 10 days to half a month. Leave the medical expenses to me. I can't let Elder Chen get injured for nothing. I, Li Fan, am not an unreasonable person. Everyone was cursing in their hearts, wishing that they could skin Li Fan alive. However, he could only think about it in his heart. When it reached the tip of his tongue, he swallowed it back down. Li Fan had already flashed his wrist, shocking everyone present. About the 9 arenas, when are we going to start? Li Fan asked. Don't waste everyone's time. Let's finish the fight quickly and go home. This 9 heavenly ring, is for you to represent the 7 heroes dojo and fight against the dojo masters of the other 9 dojos. Dojo masters, the dojo masters around him shook their heads like rattle drums. Master Zhang, weren't you the most excited just now? Why don't you do it? No. I've been suffering from leg cold recently, and it hasn't healed yet. Master Wang, I see that you have been quite healthy recently. Why don't you play? How can I do that? It's almost time. I'm in a hurry to pick up my child. My child will be out of school soon. Isn't your child already in his 30s? Adult Night University. President Yang could only sigh. Looks like these people are unreliable. Li Fan only used one palm to make all of them afraid. The situation is hopeless, President Yang sighed in his heart, but he still had to put on a gentle expression. Looks like the dojo masters have already acknowledged you. President Yang cupped his hands towards Li Fan. From today onwards, you are a part of the Martial Arts Association. I hope that you, Li Fan, will continue to work hard for China's martial arts culture. Of course. I won't be able to have dinner today. Come over to my place another day, I'll treat everyone to a drink. After saying that, Li Fan cupped his hands and left without looking back. The moment he left, everyone in the dining hall heaved a sigh of relief. Damn, this is too scary. This Li Fan is too strong. He is not an opponent of the same level. Master. With his strength, could he be an ancient martial arts expert? Jiang Hu suddenly thought of it. Looking at his skill, it's possible. President Yang also analyzed, but if I remember correctly, there should be a ban on martial arts right now. This Li Fan used internal energy. Isn't this illegal? But he seems to have a military background. Master Zhang cautiously asked from the side, should we report him? Let's observe for a while. Yang Yi is not an impulsive person. After several failures, he became even more vigilant. When Li Fan returned to the dojo, the sky had just turned dark. Bai Shui was already waiting in the dojo. After giving her some pointers, Li Fan let her go to sleep. Regarding tomorrow's match, Li Fan is very confident. If he can't even do such a small thing, then this dojo of his would have been opened in vain. Lu Wan has already made the bed and is waiting for Li Fan. What's wrong? Didn't everything go smoothly today? Why do you still look unhappy? After hesitating, Lu Wan looked at the youth lying beside her, gently stroked his cheek and asked. I'm worried about Imperial concubine Zhou. Worried about her? She's so strong, what's there to worry about? Lu Wan was lying there. Her eyebrows were slightly moist, looking delicate and charming. Well, when she left yesterday, she wasn't normal. Before, Li Fan didn't react. But after thinking about it, he felt that something was wrong. Imperial concubine Zhou once said that her club is on the right track. Even if she's not there, it can be solved by itself. But yesterday, she suddenly said that something happened in the club and had to go back to deal with it. It really doesn't make sense. Maybe there's an unexpected situation. Lu Wan mischievously pinched Li Fan's nose. You really like to let your imagination run wild. With Imperial concubine Zhou's character, no matter what happens, she can solve it with just a phone call. But she actually left. Moreover, she left for several days. It doesn't make sense. Do you miss her? Don't want her to leave. Listening to Lu Wan's words, she seemed to be a little jealous. Good senior sister, it's already this time, why are you still jealous? Li Fan patted her pert buttocks. It felt very good. There must be something wrong. Imperial concubine Zhou is our strongest fighting force. If anything happens to her, it will be very disadvantageous for us. Why don't you go and take a look tomorrow? Well, that's what I plan to do. But as for the martial arts club, I'm afraid that Xiaohu and the others can't suppress it. Especially with Mao Mao here, in case the Imperial army suddenly attacks, I'm afraid you're not safe. Xiaohu and Jiang Yi are not young anymore. They should be able to help you manage the martial arts club. As for Jin Jiumao, she has been in the Sword Reliance for many years and has a lot of experience. If something really happens, she will definitely be able to handle it well. Lu Wan comforted Li Fan, you can go in peace. It's not good to be too cautious. I know, then let's study other things. Ah. What other things? Giving birth. Bad guy. Chapter 1178. The next morning, as promised, the two female soldiers stood in the training hall, waiting for the fight between the two. Li Fan stood beside them with his hands in his pockets. He did not wear the training hall's uniform today, but a casual white sportswear. Although the clothes were ordinary, Li Fan's hair was combed short, and he was full of energy. One look and you could tell that he was not an ordinary person. Dragon Girl and Murong also came out to watch the show instead of playing games. The two girls were very close now, and even liked to wear the same clothes. At this moment, the two girls had their hair tied up inside ponytails, wearing pink dresses, and Winnie the Pooh bear slippers. They looked like two sisters, standing on the side, sharing snacks. The new year was almost over, and the beginner class had already started. Jiang Yi was in her training hall preparing for today's class. As usual, Lu Xiaohu brought 3 apprentices with him. However, he let the 3 of them come out to observe and learn. For them, every match was a very valuable experience. Especially Wang Xiaoran, who had specially brought a small notebook to record. Bai Shui, when we were in the army, your fighting skills were not as good as mine. If you lose today, don't be angry. Zhao Yan stood in front of Bai Shui. The 2 girls were wearing ordinary camouflage clothes. Why else would it be said that different clothes would give different effects? Some people were clothes hangers, wearing clothes from street stalls, they could wear branded clothes. Others were the opposite, wearing branded clothes, but looked like they just came out of the village. The two girls were completely clothes hangers, and the others wearing camouflage clothes would only look like migrant workers. But these two girls looked capable and charming in their clothes. Bai Shui was slightly taller, while Zhao Yan was slightly shorter. But when she rolled up her sleeves, the muscles on her arms were clearly stronger than Bai Shui. From the looks of it, in normal fights, Bai Shui's strength should be weaker than Zhao Yan, so she would be at a disadvantage. But this time was different. Bai Shui had mastered Fa Jin, so she should have an advantage. I won't. Just come. Bai Shui saw Li Fan's gaze, and became confident. She tied up her ponytail again, and stared at her opponent with a serious look. Alright, let's cut the crap and begin. Li Fan waved his hand, and the two female soldiers moved. Zhao Yan was clearly an offensive player. She pounced forward and attacked White Snow. She grabbed Snow's shoulders with both hands and tried to subdue Snow. But Bai Shui fell backwards, throwing Zhao Yan out. Zhao Yan fell to the ground, but she rolled on the ground and got up. She turned around and lashed out at Bai Shui. Bai Shui was better at defense. She took Zhao Yan's kick head-on. Enduring the pain in her shoulder, she grabbed Zhao Yan's calf and threw her away. Zhao Yan rolled on the ground again, dispelling the force on her body. She climbed back up, adjusted her posture, and looked at Bai Shui. I'm sorry, Zhao Yan. I cannot lose today. As she spoke, White Snow suddenly changed her stance and took the initiative to attack Zhao Yan. The two of them tangled together, blocking each other's attacks at the same time. Zhao Yan chopped down on Bai Shui's neck, while Bai Shui punched Zhao Yan's left ribs. Bai Shui's vision turned black, but she gritted her teeth and endured. After all, they both trained in Qigong, so they had some ability to take hits. Zhao Yan also blocked Bai Shui's palm. Your attacks are still so weak. Before Zhao Yan could finish, a huge force came from Bai Shui's fist. Pooh! Zhao Yan's body trembled, and the camouflage uniform on her back burst open. She spat out a mouthful of blood. She took 2 steps back, clutching her left ribs, and half knelt down. Bai Shui quickly went up to check Zhao Yan's injury. Without saying anything, Li Fan walked up and fed Zhao Yan a rejuvenation pill. He then placed his palm on her abdomen and helped her dissolve the pill. Very quickly, Zhao Yan recovered and wiped the blood from her mouth. I'm sorry, I didn't hold back. Bai Shui kept apologizing to Zhao Yan, but Zhao Yan's expression was complicated, and her heart was in turmoil. I lost. After a moment of silence, Zhao Yan finally spoke. I will learn from you. Ha, that's good, that's good. Li Fan laughed, don't worry, I will only teach you a little technique. Just like how I taught Bai Shui, I only taught her a little force release technique, but didn't she become stronger? As long as she can use this technique flexibly, she will become more and more powerful. I also want to learn force release. Zhao Yan said in her heart, this technique seems to be very useful. In the past, Bai Shui fought with her countless times, but she never won. But today, she won. This kind of power, Zhao Yan also wants to learn. Your personality is not suitable for force release. Force release needs to find the most suitable opportunity to subdue the enemy in one move. Li Fan explained, so, I intend to teach you Bursting Fist. Bursting Fist? Zhao Yan tilted her head, obviously not understanding. And, in theory it is similar to force release. It seems to be a technique that allows one's strength to explode. But Bursting Fist is more direct, and more straightforward, very suitable for you to learn. Thank you, officer. Zhao Yan finally agreed, willing to learn from Li Fan. You take a rest first, I have to go out during the day, I will come back to teach you in the evening. If I don't come back at night, I will trouble you two to keep an eye on her. Yes, officer. Both of them agreed, and Li Fan went out with a peace of mind. He directly went to Imperial Concubine Zhou's entertainment club. Along the way, he quickly came to the front of the Ming Dynasty's Dream Building. When Li Fan entered, the receptionist already recognized him and quickly came forward to greet him. Mr. Li, are you here to play today? I am looking for Imperial Concubine Zhou. Ah, the queen is not here today. Oh. What about yesterday? She was also not here yesterday. The other party's answer made Li Fan puzzled. Didn't she say she was going back to the entertainment club? Where did Imperial Concubine Zhou go? Did she say where she was going? Didn't she say she was at your place? The receptionist's answer made Li Fan frown. Mr. Li, is there anything else? It's nothing, you can busy yourself. Li Fan stood in the same place, frowning, thinking about Imperial Concubine Zhou's matter. Sure enough, something happened to this woman. Where did she go? At this moment, a figure came from the side and passed by Li Fan. If you want to know where Imperial Concubine Zhou is, follow me. After this person finished speaking, he walked away. Li Fan looked back at him and observed this figure. He was wearing an ordinary jacket and jeans, looking like a normal person. He turned the corner in front of him and disappeared. Li Fan didn't think much and followed him. Enemy or friend, I will know when I see her. Chapter 1179. The man walked to a corner and disappeared from Li Fan's sight. The surroundings were very quiet, as if the man had never appeared. Li Fan frowned, thought for a while, and decided to follow him to have a look. Whether he was an enemy or a friend, he had to see him. What Li Fan cared about most now was the safety of Imperial Concubine Zhou. Although this woman's martial arts could be said to be unparalleled in the world, Li Fan didn't know why he always felt a little uneasy, as if his heart was pinched. It was still warm in spring in City G. It was drizzling from the sky, and when it patted on the body, it was a little warm. The few pedestrians in the surroundings became even more hurried as they hurried on their way to avoid the rain. The roads soon became wet, and the raindrops fell on the ground, splashing fragile ripples. Li Fan soon found the breath of the mysterious man. He took 2 steps to the side, and sure enough, the man stood across the street, staring at him with a pair of seemingly dull eyes. It seemed that he didn't know martial arts. The raindrops fell on him, and soon his clothes were wet, making him look very embarrassed. And Li Fan stood in the rain, forming a protective net with his true qi, so that the falling rain automatically avoided it. The strength of true qi could be seen at a glance. The man didn't do anything. He just looked at Li Fan for a while, and then turned around and left. Li Fan didn't dare to neglect, and he hurried to follow him. The two of them kept shuttling on the street, one in front of the other. After following him for about half an hour, the man finally walked to the front of a subway station. The rain was getting heavier and heavier, like a torrential downpour. The man had been drenched, but he didn't care at all. He looked back, seemed to take a look at Li Fan, and then walked into the subway station. There were many people in the subway station, and Li Fan was afraid to get lost, so he hurried to follow him. The subway station of City G was overcrowded, and it bore the main transportation capacity of City G. The drenched man kept squeezing in the crowd. Although he didn't know martial arts, he walked freely. Li Fan relied on his true qi to protect his body, and kept following him. But after a while, the man disappeared in front of him. The crowd was huge, bustling with activity as they came and went. Li Fan was at a loss. Where did this guy go? In this vast sea of people, where should she go to find him? Li Fan looked around for a while. There were so many people, and everyone was so unfamiliar. This made Li Fan very annoyed. Moreover, there were too many people around, and their auras were very chaotic. It was extremely difficult to lock onto that person's aura. It was like trying to pick a grain of sand from a pile of rice. It was too difficult. What the fuck, where did he run off to? Li Fan could only follow the flow of people and take a few steps forward. At this moment, someone suddenly grabbed him and dragged him into the toilet next to them. Shoo, don't make a sound. She raised her head and was almost right in front of Li Fan. Wet raindrops flowed down her hair. Only then did Li Fan see the person's face clearly. This handsome appearance was none other than his good brother, Lu Zhu. Yes, before Li Fan could say anything, Lu Zhu had already covered his mouth and peeked outside for a while. He suddenly pulled Li Fan up, walked into a single room next to him, and then closed the door. What are you doing? In this narrow space, Li Fan and Lu Zhu were almost stuck together. He could even feel the moisture on Lu Zhu's body. He was really puzzled and couldn't help but send a voice transmission to Lu Zhu. Someone is following me. Lu Zhu also sent a voice transmission to Li Fan. His eyelashes were blinking. His eyes looked like a woman's. Li Fan muttered. Where are they from? The royal guards. Lu Zhu seemed to be listening to the movements outside. Footsteps could be heard outside. Lu Zhu had Li Fan stand in front of the toilet while he himself squatted on the toilet. The footsteps were getting closer. Soon, Li Fan felt that someone was squatting down and peeking through the gap below. But from below, he could only see Li Fan's feet standing in front of the toilet. The other party didn't seem to suspect anything. Soon, the footsteps faded away as if they were leaving. But Lu Zhu pointed outside the door, seemingly hinting at Li Fan. Li Fan nodded. He suddenly stretched out his hand, smashed the door with a punch, and then grabbed the neck of a man outside the door. Before the man could react, Li Fan had already knocked him out. He deliberately showed mercy and didn't kill him. Li Fan and the royal guards were now in a half-dead state. Both of them had a government background, so no one wanted to be the first to fall out. Is this the person who chased you? Li Fan looked at the man in a suit lying on the ground and asked Lu Zhu. Lu Zhu nodded, but his expression didn't relax. He has companions, they should be searching around. Lu Zhu grabbed Li Fan. Let's leave, his companions should be here soon. With that, Lu Zhu took Li Fan out of the bathroom and directly went to a nearby subway. The subway door slowly closed. Through the window, Li Fan saw that there seemed to be two men in black suits walking in the direction of the bathroom. Tell me, what's the situation? Li Fan and Lu Zhu were squeezed together in the crowd. Looking at Lu Zhu who was close to him, he was embarrassed to speak, feeling strange. So, Li Fan continued to transmit his voice to him, asking the whole story. You still don't understand, the royal guards are weakening you. Lu Zhu also transmitted her voice to Li Fan, telling him. Is that so? These guys finally couldn't hold it in anymore. Li Fan guessed, so they started with Imperial Concubine Zhou first. Yes, Imperial Concubine Zhou is the strongest fighting force in your camp. Lu Zhu's explanation was reasonable. As long as Imperial Concubine Zhou is eliminated, your camp can be said to have a huge loss. That's the reason, but Imperial Concubine Zhou's strength is there, relying on the royal guards. What can they do to her? Li Fan knew how strong Imperial Concubine Zhou was. No matter how strong Imperial Concubine Zhou is, she is only one person. Lu Zhu reminded him, and the royal guards have so many people, and they are unscrupulous. As far as I know, Imperial Concubine Zhou is already in trouble. She's dead? Li Fan's heart jumped. For him, Imperial Concubine Zhou was not only a strong fighting force, but also a female companion. Although this woman was cold and ruthless, once she put her feelings into it, she was as gentle as water. Imperial Concubine Zhou, her thousands of charm, only bloomed for Li Fan. No, she's not dead yet. Imperial Concubine Zhou's physique is special, it's easy to catch her, but it's difficult to kill her. Lu Zhu's answer made Li Fan breathe a sigh of relief, and his worried heart also relaxed. You led me here, is it because you know her whereabouts? Looking at Lu Zhu's eyes, Li Fan immediately asked. Yes, she is locked up in the Royal Guards branch in Ji City. Lu Zhu had already inquired clearly. Tomorrow, she will be escorted to the Sima family, there is no difference between her and death. Chapter 1180. It was raining in spring. The whole of City Ji was wet, which made people feel inexplicably irritated. It was the same for Di Wuliang. Although they had caught the legendary immortal evil Buddha, Imperial Concubine Zhou, it was a difficult task to escort her. As everyone knew, imperial concubine Zhou was Li Fan's mistress. No one knew what was wrong with the most powerful person in the martial arts world back then. She actually fell in love with Li Fan. Li Fan, too, must have been so lucky in his previous life. It rained all night. When they got up the next day, the visibility in City G was not very good. The rain made it a little misty. The whole City G was like a fairyland, hazy. Di Wuliang wore a white suit, and this time, he also wore a red tie. On his chest, there was a vehicle-level badge. Because of the merit of catching imperial concubine Zhou, Di Wuliang made an exception and was promoted. It was also very dangerous to catch imperial concubine Zhou. Almost all of Di Wuliang's men died, so imperial concubine Zhou was led into the trap. It was still thanks to Song Fuya's poison. If it hadn't weakened imperial concubine Zhou, even if there were 10 times more people, they might not have been able to do anything to this woman. This woman was really powerful. Di Wuliang saw with his own eyes that she sucked several of his men dry and threw them aside. This terrible way of dying almost destroyed the fighting spirit of all the imperial guards. If it hadn't been for Song Fuya's poison and the participation of the 4 senior cadres, perhaps Di Wuliang would have been reduced to the same way. Luck was still on his side. Di Wuliang comforted himself with a few words, and then he took everyone on the road. Imperial concubine Zhou was tied up with special chains all over her body, and she was escorted in a bulletproof military car. There were 3 SUVs in front and behind her, and the motorcade went all the way in the direction of the Sima family. In addition to Di Wuliang's men, the 4 senior cadres each sat in an SUV in case of emergency. Drive the car faster. Feng Xiao, the senior cadre sitting behind Di Wuliang, crossed his arms and urged expressionlessly. He was also wearing a white suit, but he had a golden tie on. This was the characteristic of the cadre of the Royal Army. Those in black suits were just ordinary officers. When they changed into white suits, they would step into the ranks of the cadre. A cannon rank could not wear a necktie, a red necktie was a vehicle rank, and a golden necktie was a horse rank. Further up, the black tie was the phase level. When they reached the soldier level, they would wear a conspicuous red suit with a black tie. Di Wuliang had never seen the legendary general level before, nor did he know what they looked like. To them, the general rank was very mysterious. It was said that Murong Bo and Murong Ying's strength could be considered to be at the general level. However, the 2 members of the Murong family were outside the system of the imperial army. They never wore suits, nor did they have official titles. Now, the entire imperial army was in the hands of the Sima family, Sima Yao. The higher the rank, the higher the authority, and the more arrogant a person would be. This Feng Xiao was the same. Because of his strength, he was extremely arrogant. This guy was wearing the same white suit as him, but he had a golden tie with a pure gold tie clip. Zhai Wuxian was really envious of him. After he eliminated Li Fan's forces, he would probably be able to climb to this position and change into a golden tie. No, maybe even higher. Or he could change into a black tie, step on Feng Xiao, and let him act cool in front of him. Master Feng, the fog is heavy on the road. For safety's sake, we can't drive too fast. Di Wuliang forced a smile and explained to Feng Xiao. A bunch of trash. Isn't it just a bit of fog? If you can't even overcome this, how can you cooperate with our operation? Feng Xiao said disdainfully, even if we have to risk our lives, we have to hurry to Master Sima's house. You guys are just small fries. If you die, so be it. Di Wuliang was furious. Although the 2 of them seemed to have the same values, he was still unhappy that he was treated as cannon fodder. Don't be too complacent. Sooner or later, I will climb over your head. Hurry up and give the order. Feng Xiao scolded. Di Wuliang had no choice but to order his subordinates through the walkie-talkie. Full speed ahead. When the superior gave the order, even if the subordinates were unwilling, they had to obey. The few cars began to accelerate, passing through the rain and fog, moving forward at high speed. All the cars had their fog lights on. On this rainy and foggy highway, they were like staring monsters, rushing toward their target. Di Wuliang had a bad feeling. He opened the glove compartment and took out a bottle of spray. This was the poison that Song Fuya left for him. Once released, it would damage the nerves of the poisoned person and temporarily lose their 5 senses. Imperial concubine Zhou was hit by this trick, but she still killed more than 10 royal guards in this state. It was really scary. Are you afraid? Feng Xiao, who was sitting in the back, seemed to feel Di Wuliang's fear. In the end, you're just a newly promoted cannon fodder. He sneered, such a coward, how can you fight for the royal guards? Sorry, master, although he was cursing in his heart, Di Wuliang still apologized sincerely. With me here, who dares to act rashly? Master is mighty. What else could Di Wuliang say? He could only hold the poison that Song Fuya gave him. Cousin, this time I need to rely on your help again. Di Wuliang silently said a few words and continued to let his subordinates drive forward. Report, there's someone in front. The voice of his subordinate came to his ears. Di Wuliang looked ahead. In the thick fog, there was a figure standing there, but he couldn't see the figure clearly. This rain and fog seemed to cover him with a layer of mysterious aura. Di Wuliang's heart shivered. So they really came. Who could it be? Was it Li Fan? Or someone else? If they wanted to save Imperial concubine Zhou, it must be Li Fan's group. It couldn't be wrong. Feng Xiao finally opened his eyes, and there seemed to be a smile hanging on the corner of his mouth. You're finally willing to show up. Hee hee, it's just right. I'll use Li Fan's head as my contribution. Stop the car. Di Wuliang gave the order. He didn't expect to kill a martial artist with a car. These cars stopped one after another, and more than a dozen men in black suits jumped off. And on the military car that imprisoned Imperial concubine Zhou, a man in black suit climbed up and grabbed the machine gun on top of the car, aiming at the figure in front. The raindrops fell on the cold barrel of the machine gun, bringing the smell of death. Shoot! Di Wuliang first used the machine gun to shoot around. Bang, bang, bang. The gun barrel vibrated, and the crimson flame spurted out, dispersing the surrounding rain and fog. The bullet was like the invitation of the god of death, tearing through the air and shooting at the figure in front. This heavy shot caused the ground to tremble. The figure in front still stood there, unmoved. Chapter 1181. The bullets landed on the figure's body, but it was as if they had hit steel. Only golden sparks were produced, and the figure was still standing there, unscathed. The tinkling sound, combined with the sparks, played a strange concerto. The clouds seemed to be afraid, and were slowly dispersing. The figure also slowly became clear. As expected, it was Li Fan. He stood in front of the road, blocking their way. Li Fan, what are you trying to do? Di Wuliang stood in the rain, looking at Li Fan, who was standing in front of him. Truth be told, when he saw Li Fan, he still felt a little uneasy. The current little tyrant was different from the past. According to the past information, little tyrant Li Fan was impulsive and warlike. Although his martial arts were strong, his weakness was very obvious. However, the current Li Fan was unfathomable, and it was hard to find his weakness. He stood there, wearing a white tracksuit. He hugged his arms, and bullet casings were scattered around him. You dare to block my royal army, do you want to make us your enemy? Oh. Li Fan smiled, and that smile made Di Wuliang's heart skip a beat. Interesting. Li Fan pointed at the military vehicle where Imperial concubine Zhou was being held. You guys took my people, and now you're blaming me? A mere royal army is going too far. Do you really think that there is no one in my 7 heroes sect? As he spoke, Li Fan waved his sleeves, and elemental energy surged, rushing in all directions. The surrounding rain and fog were all dispersed, and the rain that filled the sky seemed to have stopped for 2 seconds. As for the surrounding royal army in black suits, they were all pushed back by this elemental energy and fell into the mud, looking extremely battered. Li Fan, right? How arrogant. Feng Xiao and the other 3 horse rank officers slowly came down from the vehicle. Among them, Feng Xiao's strength seemed to be higher, and the other 3 also listened to his orders. After he came out, the rain fell again, but when it was near him, they all avoided him. It could be seen how powerful his elemental energy was. Li Fan also took a few more glances at him. Feng Xiao's eyes shone, his temples bulged, and his voice was like a large bell. It was obvious that his inner force was strong. With the dragon chip's authorization and enhancement, these former martial artists seemed to have become even stronger. Li Fan glanced at the badge on his chest. It was a galloping steed. It's not arrogance, it's just that you guys are too arrogant. Li Fan was still standing in the rain with his arms crossed. His voice sounded calm, but there was a hidden thunder of anger. I'll give you 5 minutes to release Imperial Consort Zhou. Otherwise, you will be killed without mercy. How arrogant. Feng Xiao sneered. Li Fan, do you still think that you're the little overlord of the pugilistic world? You're just a little bastard now. Look, it's the new martial arts world now. The dragon chip has replaced the traditional dantian. We are all new martial artists. You people are already behind the times. Is that so? Li Fan stretched out his hand. The surrounding rainwater was attracted by his yuan qi and gathered in the palm of his hand, slowly forming the shape of a sword. This sword slightly fluctuated, and the water ripples were clear. Through the sword, one could see Li Fan's enlarged palm print. Such an ability, Di Wuliang was secretly shocked. He casually squeezed the surrounding rainwater into a sword. This yuan qi, was it really that powerful? Then I want to see how strong you new martial artists are. As Li Fan spoke, the water sword above his palm suddenly shot out like a bullet, instantly piercing through the bodies of more than 10 royal guards. The water sword was extremely sharp, and its aim was precise. It pierced through the throats of every single member of the royal guards, tearing apart their necks and leaving behind a huge bloody hole. In the blink of an eye, half of the royal guards who were escorting were dead. And Li Fan's water sword also dispersed. He stood there, using yuan qi again, slowly condensing a new water sword. Di Wuliang's legs were a little weak. He held on to the car door beside him and barely stabilized his body. Looking at the rippling water sword, under the illumination of the car lights, it seemed to be emitting a terrifying beauty. Di Wuliang's breathing was rapid, his heart was beating fast, and he did not know what to do. Why is he stronger than the information? Even if I have advanced a level, it seems like I am still not his opponent, insignificant skill, not worth mentioning. Feng Xiao did not care, he took out a metal box from the trunk of the car. This box was 3 feet long, riveted, and seemed to contain something valuable. The other horse-level officers also took out metal boxes from their respective trunks. Each of their boxes were different in size, but they were all sealed, as if hiding some terrifying energy. Li Fan did not stand on ceremony, and flicked out the water sword. Feng Xiao had already opened the password lock, and with one palm, he opened the box, took out a 3 feet long bronze mace, held it in his hand, and directly slashed at the incoming water sword. Pooh! The water sword made by Li Fan using his primordial qi was smashed by his bronze mace just like that. The splashing water made Di Wuliang, who was watching from the side, excited. This is a Chinese divine weapon. The so-called Chinese divine weapon is the ultimate weapon created by the government through the analysis of martial artists. Chinese divine weapons contain the energy of true qi. Previously, those martial artists were given the qi-dispersing pill in batches, but the energy was conserved, and when it was released, the government used a special machine to absorb it. After that, the true qi was compressed according to the energy unit of the martial arts world, and the power of 10 dragons was compressed to create a Chinese divine weapon. In other words, a Chinese divine weapon is equivalent to a master of the generation. The true qi of the entire martial arts world has created many Chinese divine weapons. But these Chinese divine weapons are only given to horse-level officers and above. A small car-level officer like me is not qualified to have one. This Chinese divine weapon is indeed powerful, it only took one strike to break Li Fan's water sword. What little tyrant, just a so-so. The horse-level officer Feng Shao laughed, his eyes flashed, and his attitude towards Li Fan became even more contemptuous. I said, you are already eliminated. Feng Shao waved his hand, there is no need to use a butcher knife to kill a chicken, I am too lazy to do it. Han Feng, go and bring his head to me. A horse-level cadre next to him held a crescent moon sword in his hand and rushed toward Li Fan. The suits that these royal guards are wearing are all made of special materials. Even when they move, they will not be restricted. As for the horse-level officer Han Feng, he has a horse face, he brandishes the large blade, slashes the curtain of rain in front of him, and directly rushes in front of Li Fan. He holds the large blade in his hand and brandishes it, creating an air-splitting sound as it sweeps towards Li Fan. Although Li Fan does not know what this Chinese divine weapon is, he can feel that it contains a powerful force. Li Fan frowns, quickly thinking of a countermeasure. Chapter 1182. The flying lion goddess popped out from behind Li Fan. The enormous flying lion goddess raised her shield, knocked away the rain, and blocked in front of Li Fan. Clang! The flying lion goddess' shield flashed with dazzling sparks, and the shield was actually knocked back. This horse rank officer, Han Feng, was actually able to cause Li Fan's expression to change by relying on a Chinese godly weapon. Martial god true body. It's useless. Feng Shao mocked, this is already an outdated thing. It is unable to contend against the powerful martial power of our royal army. We have the dragon chip and Chinese godly weapon. Regardless of which one, it is enough to crush your martial god true body. Not only because the Chinese godly weapon could contend against a grandmaster, after exchanging blows with the Chinese godly weapon, Li Fan felt that the weapon seemed to have a restraining energy. Although he was using energy, a portion of it was born from energy, so he was more or less affected. Do you understand the difference between us? Feng Shao arrogantly looked at Li Fan, if you understand, then obediently accept your death. Fool. Li Fan stood in the rain, facing Han Feng who was just inches away, but he did not have the slightest change in expression. The power of the martial god true body is not something you can understand. With that, Li Fan pointed at Han Feng in front of him. Dragon spitting pearl. The flying lion goddess put down her shield and opened her left hand. A ball of golden energy condensed in her palm. 7 Heroes Fist. Feng Shao was puzzled, didn't you say that your 7 Heroes Fist has been crippled? I have been training it well recently, so I have trained it back. Sorry. While Li Fan was speaking, the flying lion goddess had already thrown out the energy ball. It landed on Han Feng's body and sent him flying. He crashed into the mud at the side, looking very pathetic. 7 Heroes Fist was created by me, how could that old bastard Murong dare to take it? The unruly little tyrant pointed at Feng Shao, I will use you to prove what a true martial artist is. What a joke. You have only seen the tip of the iceberg of the royal army's strength. Han Feng. Don't be lazy, get up and kill him. Yes. Han Feng stood up with mud all over his body. The rainwater washed over his body, making him more clear-headed. Hand over the head. Han Feng waved the crescent moon saber in his hand and pounced in front of Li Fan again. At the same time, he slashed down heavily with his crescent moon saber, as though he wanted to split Li Fan into two. Li Fan even kept the flying lion goddess, allowing Han Feng's blade to slash in front of him. The crescent blade parted the rainwater and was already in front of Li Fan's nose. Li Fan could even feel the coldness and sharpness of the crescent blade. But at this critical moment, Li Fan's body took advantage of the momentum to lean to the side, and Han Feng's crescent blade immediately slashed into thin air. Clang! The ground under Li Fan's feet cracked, mud and dirty water splashing up, but they were blocked by Li Fan's shield of vigor. At the same time, Li Fan placed his hands in his pockets and kicked with his left leg, landing on Han Feng's calf. Han Feng immediately lost his balance and knelt on the ground with a thud. Li Fan's leg was raised high, and that instant movement stunned Di Wuliang. This was like a divine dragon swinging its tail. Guillotine. This was one of Li Fan's dragon fighting techniques. The dragon's body was a weapon, and their tails could also be used in battle. And after transforming into a human, they could also use their legs as tails to execute this move. But the original dragon fighting technique had been modified by Li Fan. This steel tail was also renamed as guillotine by him. Li Fan's leg was like a divine dragon's dancing tail, instantly melting the rainwater and landing on Han Fang's head. Han Fang had the dragon chip to strengthen him, and his reaction was extremely fast. He immediately raised his hands and raised his crescent moon saber. The hilt of this Huaxia divine weapon blocked Li Fan's kick. The saber hilt let out a mournful cry, and with a kacha sound, under Han Fang's horrified gaze, it actually broke into two. Bang! This kick caused blood to splatter, and Li Fan's heel landed squarely on Han Fang's face. Pooh! Han Fang's head exploded from the kick. He held on to the two broken saber hilts with both hands as he laid in the puddle, becoming a headless corpse. Your saber technique is not even comparable to a piece of skin on old Guan's leg. Li Fan did not hold back and mocked him. The corner of Feng Xiao's mouth twitched. Alright, next. Li Fan beckoned with his finger. Seems like this little tyrant is not trash after all. He has some foundation. Feng Xiao waved his hand. Su Chu, Jiang Biao, the two of you go. The remaining two horse rank officers, one wielded a spear, and the other wielded two sabers. One on the left and one on the right, they pincer attacked Li Fan from both sides. The two of them ran very quickly, creating a pu-pu-pu rhythm in the rain. They were so fast that even the splashes of water could not be seen. In the blink of an eye, they had arrived at the side of Li Fan. Su Chu wielded a spear in his hand and aimed it at Li Fan's neck. With a pu sound, the spear pierced through the curtain of rain and headed straight for Li Fan's neck before anyone else. Li Fan tilted his head and dodged this spear. The tip of the spear almost grazed his neck as it pierced out, creating a pa sound in the air. At the same time, Li Fan's scalp turned numb. The two sabers were already at the top of his head. Under Jiang Biao's control, it was as though they were going to split Li Fan into 3 pieces. However, Li Fan raised his leg and accurately kicked the body of Su Chu's spear. This great spear was immediately kicked up by Li Fan and hit the two sabers above his head, causing Jiang Biao's sabers to bounce off. Although it looked extremely dangerous, Di Wuliang knew in his heart that Li Fan was only toying with these two people. He was skillful and at ease, and he still had strength to spare. Looking at the two horse rank officers, they were already panting slightly. It was obvious that they were panicking and did not know what to do. They were finished. Di Wuliang could already tell that these two people were dead for sure. Su Chu's rhythm was already messed up. Whether it was the Chinese divine weapon or his comrade Jiang Biao, none of them could save him. Li Fan took advantage of the situation and turned his leg. With another steel tail move, his leg was like an executioner's machete, directly kicking Su Chu's head away. His body weakly took 2 steps forward, and with a pu tong sound, he also laid down in the muddy water. Di Wuliang shivered. This Li Fan's leg was even more powerful than a guillotine. With his comrade dead, the remaining Jiang Biao was also panicking. He held his sabers and crazily slashed around, his mouth letting out a pig's roar. It was as ugly as one could imagine. And Li Fan had purposely revealed an opening to lure him into the trap. Jiang Biao rushed forward and directly fell into Li Fan's trap. He was hit in the stomach by his knee. Pooh! Jiang Biao spat out a mouthful of blood, which blended with the rainwater. His body was stiff, and his eyes turned black. He actually stopped there, unable to move. Li Fan followed up with a kick to the guillotine, once again sending his head flying, sending him to meet his comrade. Seeing Li Fan effortlessly reap the lives of 3 of his comrade, Feng Xiao was finally moved. Chapter 1183. He held the bronze mace and waved his hand, breaking through the surrounding air and directly smashing towards Li Fan's head. If this mace hit its mark, Li Fan's head would probably be smashed like a watermelon in an instant. However, Li Fan was not an ordinary person. His hands were still in his pockets. He slid back slightly and dodged the bronze mace. The mace almost brushed past the tip of Li Fan's nose. With a hum in the air, the rainwater was split to two sides. Bang! Li Fan kicked Feng Xiao's chin. Feng Xiao reacted quickly. He stretched out his other hand and blocked his chin. He felt a huge force surging up and kicking Feng Xiao, sending him flying and hanging in the air. Li Fan stretched out his right hand and mobilized his essence qi. The rainwater quickly condensed in his palm and formed a sparkling water sword. He aimed at Feng Xiao, who was still hanging in the air, and shot the water sword out. Pfft! Feng Xiao quickly waved the bronze mace again and smashed the water sword. The water splashed onto his face. Feng Xiao squinted his eyes in discomfort. But at this moment, Li Fan had already jumped high, and at the same time, his foot landed. Guillotine. Feng Xiao's eyes had not fully opened, but with his many years of combat experience, he could still feel the terrifying danger. Feng Xiao almost subconsciously pushed. The bronze mace in his hand swept out, bringing with it a wave of air that pushed his body back half a meter. And this time, he was saved. Li Fan's foot scraped the ground, creating a hole in the ground. Muddy water splattered everywhere. Feng Xiao fell to the side. His forehead was covered in cold sweat or rainwater. He seemed to be in a state of shock. His mouth was full of arrogant words just now, but now he couldn't say a single word. Di Wuliang hid to the side. He was still calculating in his heart. This time, he was definitely going to lose. Unless he used his cousin's medicine to help Feng Xiao. However, if he used it, Feng Xiao would probably take all the credit. At that time, he would not benefit. But if he didn't use it, Feng Xiao would probably be defeated very quickly. In that case, the entire escort team could only rely on themselves. But with their own strength, Li Fan probably didn't care at all. Di Wuliang glanced around and saw a great spear thrown to the side. It was a bright silver spear with red fur tied to it. It was stuck in the mud, but it still exuded a terrifying aura of a king. It was a Chinese godly weapon that Su Chu had used. Now that Su Chu was dead, this godly spear had temporarily lost its owner. Di Wuliang hesitated for a long time, rubbing the poison in his hand. In the end, he decided not to help. Feng Xiao was a selfish bastard. There was no use in helping him. He had to rely on himself in order to get promoted and make a fortune. Di Wuliang had already made up his mind, so he stood quietly to the side and watched the show. Feng Xiao was clearly on his last legs. He stood where he was and let the rain wash over him. He didn't even dare to attack Li Fan. Even if you increase your strength and obtain divine artifacts, you are still weak. Li Fan began to ridicule Feng Xiao. My martial skills were tempered by thousands of times. This kind of gap in experience is not something that you can make up for no matter how many weapons you have. With that, Li Fan began to circulate the essence in his body. Because he had once again cultivated the 7 heroes force, the 8 stars in Li Fan's body lit up again. The 9th star was still waiting for him to light up. But even if Li Fan was a lot stronger now, the 9th star was still dim. He didn't know when it would light up. Li Fan also thought of this problem. He calculated that in order to light up the 9th star, he would need to at least have the strength of a saint. The 9th star of the 7 heroes force, Li Fan really wanted to try how heaven-defying this level of strength was. Quickly retreat. Feng Xiao had already lost his fighting spirit. Right now, protecting himself was the way of the king. If you don't hand over Imperial Consort Zhou, then stay here. Li Fan didn't plan to let this guy run away. He lifted his foot and kicked the SUV beside him, causing the car to skid and block Feng Xiao's path. Feng Xiao waved his bronze mace and directly split the car in half. And Li Fan followed like a shadow, passing through the rain and instantly arrived behind Feng Shao. Feng Shao felt the killing intent behind him. He quickly turned around, holding the bronze mace with both hands. He used total annihilation. But Li Fan lowered his body and dodged his sweep. At the same time, Li Fan used a sweeping kick, causing Feng Shao to stagger forward. Feng Shao, who had already lost his balance, seemed to have been sentenced to death. Li Fan followed up with a knee strike, kicking Feng Shao's lower abdomen. Feng Shao spat out a mouthful of acid, but Li Fan used guillotine again, going straight for Feng Shao's head. Go to hell. When a person is on the verge of death, they can burst out with extraordinary potential. Feng Shao naturally knew the power of Li Fan's kick. The dragon microchip in his body was operating at high capacity. The power flowed along his nerves, all the way to his skin. On Feng Shao's skin, a golden red light was reflected. His entire body seemed to be about to split into pieces. His body was covered with golden light scars. Li Fan's heart jumped wildly. He seemed to be able to feel the powerful energy contained in Feng Shao's body. Li Fan didn't dare to be negligent. He retracted his leg, changed from guillotine to a faster flat kick, kicking Feng Shao's body away. Boom! Feng Shao's body reached the peak of power, directly exploding in the air. The surrounding rainwater evaporated, the powerful flames and heat engulfed everything in the surroundings. This was just the beginning. Not only did Feng Shao protect himself, he also detonated the bronze mace. The bronze mace turned into countless bronze fragments in the air. Like a nail bomb, the fragments bounced around, piercing through the bodies of several of his fellow Imperial guards. For a moment, screams rang out, blood mixed with the rainwater, and the air was filled with a fishy smell. Li Fan landed on the ground. He was the first to bear the brunt of the impact, so naturally he was also affected. There were more than 10 bronze fragments stuck in front of him. Li Fan roused his vitality, rushing into his flesh, shaking off the fragments that were stuck in his body. Blood flowed out. Li Fan used his vitality to seal the blood vessels, to prevent excessive blood loss. The remaining Imperial guards had long lost their will to fight, all of them trembling in the rain. Mr. Li, there might be some misunderstanding between us. Di Wuliang respectfully bowed to Li Fan. We will release Imperial Consort Zhou now, this way please. Li Fan looked at him a few more times. Releasing Imperial Consort Zhou was more important now. Li Fan didn't want this Imperial Consort to suffer too much. He opened the large iron door of the escort carriage. There was an Imperial guard standing inside, suddenly spitting out black smoke at Li Fan. Li Fan was eager to save people, neglecting to guard. Although he sealed his nostrils with true energy in time, he still accidentally inhaled a bit of the black smoke. In almost an instant, Li Fan's eyes began to turn black. His ears faintly heard Di Wuliang's smug sneer. Chapter 1184. Li Fan fell into darkness, and he could not see anything around him. He instantly bounced back into his own world of consciousness. At this moment, in his world of consciousness, only the flying lion goddess was still standing there quietly. The quiet heart lake around him was like a painting. The starry sky above his head was slowly rotating. Among them, 8 stars were the brightest, and one was still very dim. It was unknown when it would release its light. And in the next second, the originally quiet sea of consciousness suddenly surged violently. And standing in it, the flying lion goddess suddenly opened her eyes, and in the next second, she disappeared from his world of consciousness. Li Fan seemed to understand that he must have inhaled poison just now and his 5 senses were sealed. The current him could not hear, see, or even feel the touch of his skin. He could only quietly stay in this world of consciousness, waiting for his immune system to clean up the poison. During this period, he could only rely on his flying lion goddess. At the same time, in the real world, Di Wuliang was even more depressed. He had finally seized this opportunity to subdue Li Fan. The poisonous mist was indeed effective. Li Fan stood there, motionless like a statue. But before Di Wuliang could do anything, a goddess of war wearing golden armor descended in front of everyone with a beam of golden light. She waved the holy sword in her hand and directly cut a royal guard in front of her in half. Blood and intestines flew everywhere. Di Wuliang, who was used to seeing big scenes, actually felt a little disgusted at this moment. Go. She is only a guardian, she does not have any intelligence. Di Wuliang could not give up just like that. Surround her. Kill her. A few royal guards stepped forward, but they were killed by the flying lion goddess's sword. The flying lion goddess's armor was stained with red blood, and she seemed to be even more ferocious. For a moment, no one could get within a meter of her. Upper hook. Di Wuliang maintained his calm and gave the second order. The grappling claw troops at the side immediately stepped forward and threw out more than 10 grappling claws, hooking onto her body. These claw troops pulled on the chains and locked the flying lion goddess in place, making her unable to move. As they approached Li Fan, the flying lion goddess shook her right hand, and the holy sword transformed into a golden rifle. She then fired at the royal guards that were approaching Li Fan. The bullets were completely made up of yuan qi. With each shot, the heads of all the royal guards near Li Fan exploded. Di Wuliang's brows were about to turn into crescents. Motherfucker, this is too much. They were all tied up, but they could still launch long-range attacks. Li Fan was indeed worthy of being the little overlord who mingled in Jianghu in the past. He was indeed very difficult to deal with. Lock her hands. Di Wuliang ordered again. Although he was carrying the divine spear of Huaxia, he did not dare to approach the flying lion goddess. He continued to order. In the increasingly cold rain, 2 more royal guards threw out their claws and hooked onto the right hand of the flying lion goddess, restraining her attack and preventing her from firing. The winged lion goddess alone almost held back the rest of the royal guards. But no matter what, the terrifying goddess of war was finally restrained. Di Wuliang heaved a sigh of relief. He carried the silver spear and walked towards Li Fan step by step. A meteoric rise was within reach. Di Wuliang's eyes became brighter and brighter. The spear in his hand also became tighter and tighter. But at this time, a man destroyed his beautiful dream. The devil's sex Lu Zhu appeared out of nowhere. He took out a blowpipe and blew at Li Fan, who was beside him. From the blowpipe, white smoke was blown out and sucked into Li Fan's nose. Everyone, retreat. The moment Lu Zhu appeared, Di Wuliang's heart tightened. He understood that the situation was hopeless. His intelligence went online and he immediately gave the order to retreat, saving himself. Di Wuliang picked up all the Huaxia divine weapons, turned around and ran. In the blink of an eye, he rushed into the nearby forest. The few imperial guards did not manage to escape in time and were killed by Li Fan after he opened his eyes. Their heads were smashed one by one with a kick. The rain washed the ground, washing the blood into the nearby ditch. There were only a few cars parked on the side of the road. There was not a single royal guard alive. You're really quick-witted. Li Fan rejoiced as he looked at Lu Zhu next to him. If not for you, I'm afraid I would be miserable. That's why I said you need me. Lu Zhu was a little proud. Later, I will stay in your dojo for a while. You teach me martial arts, I will train your IQ. Li Fan glared at Lu Zhu. This kid actually dared to tease him. What I said is true. You think about it. I don't have any problem with you staying. Li Fan walked into the car where Imperial concubine Zhou was imprisoned and said, but you can't have any problem with my IQ. Lu Zhu, who was standing behind, covered her mouth and chuckled. In the military car, there was a sealed metal can. Li Fan stood in front of the capsule-shaped can, looking at the large number of CNC panels on it, lost in thought. Lu Zhu walked to his side, stretched out her hand, and pressed a few buttons on the CNC panel. The CNC panel was retracted, the metal can popped out a white mist and slowly opened. What did you just say? What happened to your IQ? Lu Zhu looked at Li Fan with a smile. Humph. Li Fan coldly snorted, waved his hand, dispersing the white mist in front of him. Imperial concubine Zhou stood there, her hands and feet were locked with iron chains. Her eyes were open, but her eyes were empty, as if her soul had left the world. This is Song Fuya's neurotoxin. Lu Zhu was also a member of the devil cult, so she understood, this poison is very terrible. It can block people's 5 senses. Fortunately, it can only be ingested through the respiratory tract. As long as you hold your breath, you can block it. With that, Lu Zhu took out her blowpipe and blew it at Imperial Concubine Zhou. Imperial Concubine Zhou's body slightly trembled. In the next few seconds, her eyes slowly recovered. At the same time, she directly raised her palm and slapped Lu Zhu in front of her. Li Fan also sent out his palm, slapping Imperial Concubine Zhou's palm. A powerful suction force pulled Li Fan's elemental qi toward Imperial Concubine Zhou's body. But Li Fan also pulled his elemental qi, not letting Imperial Concubine Zhou succeed. Imperial Concubine Zhou was in a trance for a moment, then she understood. It's you. She retracted her palm and heaved a sigh of relief. Why did you come so late? Don't make trouble, I'm still in a daze, okay? Li Fan complained, this person. You were silently taken away. If it weren't for Lu Zhu, I'm afraid you would have died of old age. This consort won't die so easily. Imperial Concubine Zhou coldly snorted, Heaven's will is on this consort's side, otherwise, you wouldn't appear here. In short, it's good that you're fine. Li Fan finally revealed a smile, let's go home. Chapter 1185. The Royal Guards and Li Fan's 7 Heroes sect could be considered to have officially started. However, these matters could only be fought in the dark. When it came to the light, both sides still had to get along. After all, they had the government backing them, so there was no way to completely fall out. Sima Residence. Sima Hui slapped Di Wuliang to the ground. Damn it, a bunch of trash. Sima Hui cursed, what's the use of raising you? You can't even catch one person. Di Wuliang knelt on the ground, covering his face, not daring to say a word. He was a smart person, and he knew that Sima Hui wanted to vent his anger, not listen to his explanation. The person was already lost, and there was no use in explaining. It would only add fuel to the fire. As long as the 7 Heroes sect exists, my position will not be stable. Sima Hui sat back down on his chair. He was still panting, and it was obvious that his anger had not subsided. There's also that girl Murong Ying, obstructing me at every turn. She really doesn't know when to stop. Sir, why don't we make use of this? Di Wuliang finally found an opportunity to speak. Sima Hui's eyes flashed with an ominous glint. He lowered his head, looking at his subordinate who was kneeling in front of him. Di Wuliang had just been promoted to a vehicle-level cadre, and the badge on his chest was wiped clean. However, this small cadre, how could he be so confident in front of him? Do you have the right to speak here? Sima Hui sneered, I think you're tired of living. The 2 guards at the side directly pulled out their swords. Di Wuliang broke out in cold sweat, but he was gambling, this was his only chance. However, I'm interested to hear what kind of good ideas you have. If you can't, then don't keep your tongue. Accompanying a ruler is like accompanying a tiger, the ancients did not deceive me, Di Wuliang sighed. Sima Hui was too dangerous, but wealth came from danger. As far as I know, that Li Fan has a little girl called Murong Ai in his hands. As everyone knows, Murong loves women, I don't believe that he doesn't want to find his daughter. That old man is a daughter lover. Sima Hui curled his lips. A good and ambitious man, but because of his daughter, he ran away from home and became dispirited. To think that I treated him as a character in the past. He's nothing more than this. No matter what, his martial arts and background are still a force. Di Wuliang had already grasped the opportunity. Without any hesitation, he immediately suggested, as long as we create an opportunity to let Murong Bo know that his daughter isn't living a good life. At that time, he will fight with Li Fan to the death. When Sima Hui heard this, his eyes, which had always been hiding a sharp edge, could not help but light up. What this kid said seemed to make sense. What do you plan to do? Sir, please allow me to speak. Sima Hui was silent for a moment, then waved his hand. Come here. Like this, Di Wuyang stepped forward and whispered. Sima Hui nodded repeatedly. All right, we'll do as you say. This time, don't make any mistakes. Otherwise, I'll see you with my head. Yes. The Imperial Guards were weaving a big net for the 7 chivalry sect, waiting to capture them. At this time, Li Fan had also returned to the dojo and continued to be the dojo master. When he had nothing to do, he would practice martial arts, teach apprentices, and occasionally enjoy the feeling of being the king and 2 queens. However, after the kidnapping of Imperial concubine Zhou, Li Fan had also become more cautious. He had installed an emergency wristband on everyone in the dojo. As long as they encountered danger, they would immediately send a message to Li Fan. This way, Li Fan would be able to help them at the first instance. No matter what, the priority was to protect everyone's safety. This way, Li Fan could do his own things without any scruples. However, he did not stay idle for a few days. Soon, General Ran's people came to find him. Hello, Major Li. A soldier stood in front of Li Fan and saluted him. This is the content of your mission. Please take a look. He handed over a document to Li Fan. At this time, Li Fan had just woken up, and his hair was still slightly messy. Jiang Yi was standing behind Li Fan, tidying up Li Fan's hair. Li Fan glanced at the soldier in front of him and then opened the document in his hand. It was written in handwriting, and it was written by General Ran. This guy, why did he assign me a mission out of nowhere? Li Fan glanced at it. The higher-ups had assigned Li Fan to go to Song Town. It was said that there was a monster there, and the entire town was missing. Monster? Li Fan frowned slightly. In broad daylight, where did the monster come from? There are all kinds of strange things in the world. Dragoness stretched herself and walked out of the room. This girl only wore a little bare pajamas. That lowly short body was very lethal to people of the uncle level. The little girl had her hair tied up in 2 buns, looking exquisite and cute. Her chubby little face still had a lazy sleepy look on it. Not rubbing today. Game maintenance. Dragon girl tiptoed, stretched her neck, and glanced at the document in Li Fan's hand. Occasionally carrying out a mission from the higher-ups is also the responsibility of the Shangfang sword. Dragon girl reminded Li Fan. Didn't they say that the Shangfang sword is only under the leadership of the top? Whether to do it or not, the choice is up to you. Dragon girl reminded Li Fan, whether to be a guardian of China or a free man who does whatever he wants, it is up to you. All right, then I will make a trip. Li Fan thought for a moment and ordered the soldier, when I leave, let General Ran send 12 heavenly generals to protect my dojo. Hey, the 12 heavenly generals are the guardians of China, not your personal bodyguards. Dragon girl scolded Li Fan. They are the bodyguards of China's guardian. Li Fan said with a smile, as for why I let them come, I don't need to explain. I help the country, so the country should also protect the safety of my family. Alright, what you said makes sense. Dragon girl nodded, seemingly convinced by Li Fan. Tell the general to let Pig girl come. Pig girl, Li Fan said, they are both lawless, is it really okay to call her that? She is one of the top experts among the 12 heavenly generals. With her here, you can rest assured. That's good. As long as I don't have any worries, it will be fine. Then let's set off immediately. Why are you in such a hurry? Didn't you see the document just now? It says it's urgent. Then why weren't you in a hurry just now? A man must be steady. Dragon girl was rendered speechless by Li Fan's words. After Li Fan gave some instructions in the dojo, he took Dragon girl and set off. Having the government as a backer is indeed different. Li Fan directly took a military helicopter and arrived at Songshan town in less than a day. Chapter 1186. Songshan town was located in the southeast of the motherland. It was not very big. The people here were fierce and unruly. In the past, people said that Songshan town had beautiful scenery and was a good place to travel. For a period of time, many tourists came to Songshan town to sightsee. They were happy and carefree. However, these days did not last long. Soon, the townspeople of Songshan town discovered that these foreign tourists were all overflowing with wealth. Therefore, other than tourism, the townspeople also developed a new sideline, robbery. 6 out of 10 tourists who came to Songshan town would be robbed. As time passed, no one dared to come to Songshan town anymore. It was originally a famous tourist city, but it suddenly became empty. The economic conditions also plummeted. As a result, because of the poverty, the people of Songshan town robbed foreigners even more happily. Before the national crackdown, they were the most violent. They even set up roadblocks on the highways and collected tolls from passing drivers. If they did not pay, they would smash cars and beat people. There were even a few deaths. Later, the entire country cracked down on evil forces. Songshan town was directly named by the central government. They even set up a special Songshan town crime fighting office to punish the crimes of Songshan town. It took 3 whole years of fighting to clear out such barren lands and unruly rivers. However, Songshan town also suffered a disastrous decline and became dilapidated. Many local young people walked out of the town to seek survival outside. On the other hand, the ancestors that remained in the town were lazy and lived day by day. When Li Fan arrived, Songshan town was lush with greenery. The cold of early spring could not be seen at all. Green grass covered the mountains and surrounded an ancient city at the foot of the mountain. The ancient city was quiet. There was no sign of life, as if it was still asleep. Li Fan and Dragon Lady stood above the valley and looked down at Songshan town, which had become one with nature. Then, they looked at each other. It's like a ghost town. There should be some people in Songshan town. Dragon Lady had a unique ability. She could sense the aura of people in the city at the foot of the mountain. About 100 or so people. You can even sense that. Of course. Don't look down on us, Dragon Lady. Dragon Lady stood under the sun, stepped on the green grass, and stretched. The sunlight sprinkled on her white and tender skin, reflecting a touch of red on her snow-white skin. It was really attractive. Such a pure little beauty was indeed rare. The air here seems pretty good. As soon as the Dragon Lady finished speaking, she suddenly frowned. No, there's something strange here. She sniffed. It smells so bad. Maybe there really are monsters. What do monsters look like? Li Fan felt a little strange. He had never seen a monster before. The human heart is divided into good and evil. Good gives birth to immortals, evil gives birth to demons. Dragon Girl said tirelessly, there were too many evils. Over time, fiends appeared. Monsters feed on humans, and it might be the reason why more and more people are going missing here. I heard that a squad of soldiers who were sent there before went missing. They haven't appeared yet. Li Fan rubbed his chin and looked down. Is this demonic creature that powerful? It's up to you humans to decide whether demons are powerful or not. Dragon Lady winked at Li Fan. Come on, let's quickly settle the matter here so that we can go back and eat something delicious. You only know how to eat. Let's go down. Li Fan and Dragon Lady walked on the path, using Qinggong, all the way to the foot of the mountain. As an ancient town with a long history, Song Town was indeed very beautiful. It was said that in the past, there was a fugitive emperor who lived in this ancient city for a period of time. The reason why this ancient city was repaired so well was also related to this emperor. Entering the ancient city, a ray of sunlight penetrated through the dense leaves and landed on Li Fan's body. It was somewhat warm. This place is not bad. Li Fan looked at the streets and alleys of the ancient city and felt somewhat happy. In this ancient city, it was as if he was completely relaxed. Here, he could not see the hustle and bustle of the city and the heavy feeling of the reinforced concrete. This place is quite good. In the future, we can find a place like this to retreat into the mountains. Dragon Lady said, if you follow me to practice martial arts, your lifespan will be longer than ordinary people. When you reach a certain age, it would be more comfortable to live here. How long can I live? Li Fan was a little curious. It's not a problem to live to more than 150 years old. Dragon Lady complained, in the past, the Shang Fang sword could at least live for more than 200 years. However, the pollution in the city is too serious now, so the lifespan will be shortened. It's quite long. What a pity, it would be good if humans could live forever. If humans could live forever, would there still be a place for other living beings? Dragon Lady asked without any trace of politeness. Don't think that our dragon race is very powerful. Weren't we almost exterminated by you humans? If the human lifespan was unlimited, I'm afraid that humans would be the only living beings left in this world. That seems to make sense. Well, I still hope to live longer. As Li Fan spoke, he walked into the ancient town. The ground under his feet was paved with bluestone bricks. It seemed that it had just rained. The ground was slightly damp and slippery. The ancient city was deathly silent. There was only the chirping of birds, as if they were the only ones playing in the city. Every household in the ancient city had their doors tightly shut. Li Fan and Dragon Lady could only wander around the streets. The ancient city was not very big. If they were to walk on foot, they would be able to walk around it in 3 to 4 hours. Around the ancient city, there were broken city walls. It was unknown how many years it had not been repaired. Li Fan looked left and right. There were a few rats running around on the city walls. It was as if they treated the city as their territory and were completely unafraid of outsiders. It seems like there really isn't anyone here. Li Fan asked, didn't you say that you sensed some people? Where are they? How would I know? Dragon Lady curled her lips, I'm not a radar. Didn't you sense it? I can only sense a general direction. I don't know the exact location. Dragon Lady pointed to the south, they should be in that direction. And, let's go take a look. Just as Li Fan took a few steps, he was blocked by a row of wooden fences. The direction to the south city seemed to have been sealed, not allowing outsiders to pass. Is it okay if I kick you? Hurry up. Dragon Lady was especially impatient. Li Fan laughed. Just as he was about to lift his foot, a figure walked out from the wooden fences and berated him. You are not allowed to pass here. Li Fan was a little surprised. There was someone here. He raised his head and saw a woman with delicate features standing there. She wore a black cloak and held a candle in her hand. She looked at him with an unfriendly gaze. Chapter 1187. Get out. The woman frowned, a trace of anger could be seen in between her beautiful brows. This is not a place you should be. Woman, let us in. Dragoness immediately ordered the woman above her. Dream on. Get lost, you are not welcome here. The woman scolded again. Go back to your place. Looks like I can only break the door. Li Fan placed one hand on the wooden fence door, as long as he used his elemental chi, the door would be smashed into pieces. But the woman above picked up a stone and threw it at Li Fan. Li Fan extended his hand and slapped the stone away. The woman did not give up. She did not know how many stones she had hoarded, but she kept throwing them at Li Fan. Dragoness was unmoved, after all, Li Fan was here. Li Fan's hand could not withstand it, he used his crane hand and kept slapping the falling stones away. With Li Fan's strength, these stones could not hurt him at all. The woman seemed to be anxious, she did not know how to chase Li Fan away. At this moment, a man's scolding came from behind the fence door. Luo Luo, what are you doing? The woman's body trembled as she looked down in fear. Her body was trembling slightly, as though she was afraid, and her hand that was holding the stone loosened. For some reason, Li Fan actually felt pity for this woman who had evil intentions. Open the door. The wooden fence door slowly opened, and a few men in black robes stood behind it. The leader looked to be in his 40s, with a crew cut and thick earlobes. He looked like a Maitreya Buddha as he smiled kindly at Li Fan. My two friends, welcome to Song Town. I am the mayor here, my name is Hu Ji. Mayor Hu. Li Fan briefly explained his purpose of coming, but he did not mention that he was an imperial sword, only that he was a secret agent. So it is a secret agent, comrade. You're finally here. Mayor Hu seemed to be a little excited. He stepped forward and grabbed Li Fan's hand, looking at him as if he was looking at a family member. You don't know, but our town has suffered a disaster. Mayor Hu, don't worry. Speak slowly. He looked at the mayor, who seemed to be very emotional. When he spoke, his throat and his body were trembling. Li Fan didn't know what could make a strong man in his 40s so afraid. Special Agent Comrade. We've been haunted by monsters recently. Mayor Hu greeted everyone and led Li Fan and the others into the gate. At the same time, he kept telling them about his experiences. I'm not afraid of you laughing at me, but I used to be the mayor of Liwei City's Gong community. I've been working hard for the district for more than 10 years, and I've never dealt with my personal problems. Later, the organization sent me to Songshan Town and made me the mayor of this place. Speaking of Songshan Town, I was a bit afraid. The people of Song Town were known for their swift and fierce customs. I'm a little scared to be the mayor here. Mayor Hu led Li Fan to the place where they lived. Along the way, he started to talk. But since it was the organization's arrangement, I couldn't refuse, so I came. When I came here, I found that it was not as powerful as the rumors said. Maybe it's because we've been isolated for too long that the people here have become simple and honest. Mayor Hu pointed at the townspeople around him and continued to tell his story. When I came here, it was difficult to adapt to the backward life here at first. But as time went by, I fell in love with this place. The organization also introduced someone to me. It was Luo Luo, whom you saw just now. Although she has a bad temper, she is not a bad person. Li Fan looked back. The woman who had driven them away before was silently following the group. She covered her head with a cloak and did not say a word. She just walked slowly. Noticing Li Fan's gaze, she raised her head and glanced at Li Fan. She gritted her teeth and seemed to hate Li Fan and the others. I think she's pretty. Didn't you agree? Li Fan could not help but ask. This Luo Luo, Mayor Hu sighed and lowered his voice. The organization didn't figure it out. She was married, huh? So you dislike her? Not really. She didn't divorce, but her husband was paralyzed in bed all year round. I heard that he was no different from a vegetable. Everyone in the town thought that she was a widow. Every night, there were men who wanted to sneak into her house, but she forced them away with scissors. Although Luo Luo is a weak woman, she has a strong character. I can see that. Well, that's not true. This Luo Luo is still young. I'm already in my 40s. I'm more like her father. How can I care about those things? I've been in this town for a long time. Other than some men occasionally getting drunk and arguing, nothing major happened. Until one day. When Mayor Hu said this, he suddenly stopped. Yo, we've arrived at the town hall. Let's go in and take a rest. In front of them was an old building. It was a crooked 2-story building. No one knew how many years it had been in a dilapidated state. It was converted into the town hall. The sign of the town hall was placed against the wall. It was covered with dust. 2 comrades, please have a seat. The conditions here are a bit crude. It can't be compared to a big city. Please forgive me. Mayor Hu led the 2 into the town hall. It was damp and moldy inside. No one knew how this Mayor Hu managed to survive. He let Li Fan and the others sit on the sofa. Li Fan felt a damp feeling and quickly stood up. Dragon Girl also stood up. She seemed to be very uncomfortable. Since entering the door, Dragon Girl had been frowning. She probably really did not like the environment here. She was regarded as a guest of honor in China. When had she ever received such treatment? Luo Luo, go and prepare tea for the two guests. Mayor Hu ordered Luo Luo to go and fetch tea. Then he said to Li Fan with a smile, our wild tea is not bad. It has a special taste. Try it. By the way, why are you all wearing black robes? Li Fan couldn't help but interrupt and ask. It's a kind of protection. Mayor Hu crossed his fingers and constantly twisted them. He seemed to be dispelling the uneasiness in his heart. Listen to me and you'll know. Please continue. Li Fan nodded. Mayor Hu looked at the sky outside the window and continued to talk about his own matters. I've been working here for 3 months. It's been safe and sound. But in the 4th month, something strange happened. Mayor Hu's face seemed to be a bit ugly. Songshan town has a total of 162 families and 540 people. But in just 1 month, more than 100 people went missing. There are less than 400 people left. Chapter 1188. Mayor Hu's face became more and more unsightly, then, disappearances became a nightmare for Songshan town. Every day, people went missing. Every day, people disappeared. I have been investigating, but I couldn't find the cause of the missing people. All the policemen in the town had disappeared, and no one was listening to me. Later, I could only organize the remaining people to guard this place. Although I don't know if it's true or not, there is an old rumor in the town that there is a monster living in the rock dragon cave. This monster will come out every 1,000 years to eat people, and only return to the cave after eating 999 people. There is such a saying. You believe it? Li Fan looked at Mayor Hu in front of him. As a member of the organization, he should be an atheist. Looking at his current appearance, Li Fan really can't associate him with a mayor. He was probably the first mayor to live such a fearful and aggrieved life. No matter what, for the time being, let's believe it. Mayor Hu showed a helpless expression. I heard that the monster is blind. As long as you wear black clothes, it won't see. In the past, when Songshan town was still being developed as a tourist attraction, the Rock Dragon Cave was also a tourist attraction. When the tour guide brought the tourists in, they also asked them to change into black clothes. The townspeople repeatedly suggested to me, so we all changed into this black robe. The remaining more than 100 townspeople also sealed the town, hoping to turn this only place into a fortress to prevent the monster from entering. Why don't you leave Songshan town? Li Fan asked. As long as we leave here, won't the problem be solved? For many of the people here, Songshan town is their home. Mayor Hu explained, especially me. How should I explain it to the organization? There is a monster here, so we have to move the townspeople. Agent Comrade, I also suffer. It's not easy to be a mayor. Didn't we send a squad of scouts before? What happened to them? These scout warriors did make a trip here before. Then they didn't listen to our advice and directly went to the Rock Dragon Cave. After that, they never came back. Most likely they were eaten by the monster. Dragon Girl muttered, since they woke up, they still need to eat. What does this mean? Hearing this, Mayor Hu's hair stood on end and he hurriedly asked. It's fine, just ignore her. Li Fan patted Dragoness lightly, indicating that she should not speak carelessly. Are you sure that monster is hiding in the stone dragon cave? I think so. Some of the townsfolk have seen a monster nearby. I heard that it was a monster with 2 heads, and it was terrifying. 2-headed monsters, do you have any impression of them? Li Fan asked Dragon Lady. Oh. Why are you asking me now? Dragoness turned her head away proudly. I don't want to tell you. 6 boxes of chips. Back in our time, there was a type of 2-headed wolf demon that was savage in nature. I see. Li Fan continued to look at Mayor Hu. How about this, let's go to the Stone Dragon Cave to have a look. After the investigation, I will tell you the results. Heavens, you two, don't go to the Stone Dragon Cave, it's too dangerous. Mayor Hu hurriedly stopped them. The two of you are only here for an investigation, right? Are there any other troops coming? If you want to go to the Stone Dragon Cave, you need tanks and cannons at least. With Song Town's terrain, tanks and cannons can't enter at all. Li Fan reminded Mayor Hu, don't be afraid, we are both professionals. Leave the problem here to us. It seems that you are determined to go. Mayor Hu sighed, how about this, it's getting late, you guys can leave tomorrow. Rest here for the night, there is still some food in town. Let's not talk about others, but Song Town's beggar's chicken is the best, try it tonight. Then let's leave tomorrow. When Dragoness said this, her saliva began to drip. Li Fan silently thought, this girl is too disappointing. Just a beggar's chicken can bribe her. Mayor Hu looked at Dragoness a few more times and found that Li Fan seemed to want to listen to this little girl's opinion. Could it be that this inconspicuous little girl was some kind of important person? Alright, I will first arrange a place for you two comrades to rest. Mayor Hu arranged for people to tidy up a small house and arranged it for Li Fan and Dragoness. The house is a bit dark, it is unknown how long it has been since someone lived here, there is not a bit of vitality in the house. This house must have someone to live in. No matter how old the house is, as long as someone lives in it, it will be lively. And if there is no one living here for a long time, you will feel a chill the moment you enter. This house is like this, it has a kind of gloomy feeling, making people feel very uncomfortable. I like this ancient town, but I don't like this house. Dragoness sighed, it's too damp. Is it just damp? That's right, we dragons like to enjoy life. Dragoness emphasized, it is best to sleep on a bed made of gold, that is the most comfortable. Comfortable my ass, gold is soft. Those are all gold-plated okay. In any case, it is comfortable. Dragoness stretched her back, let's not talk anymore, I'm going to sleep first. Call me when it's time to eat chicken tonight. With that said, Dragoness lay down in the clean hanging basket, curled up into a ball, and fell asleep. Li Fan shrugged his shoulders. He also sat on a mat by the side and began to meditate. Essence Qi gathered at the position of his dantian and slowly revolved. Li Fan's strength still needed more tempering. His essence Qi is still in the early stages and is not stable. This mat is slightly damp, but Li Fan used his essence Qi to dry it and it became much better. While meditating, Li Fan seemed to be able to sense everything around him. His essence Qi perception range has also increased by a lot. As long as he focused, the movements of the surrounding grass and trees would not be able to escape Li Fan's perception. The sky gradually turned dark and the surroundings were very quiet. Only the chirping of cicadas and birds could be heard. This primitive feeling of returning to nature made Li Fan relax, and the speed at which his essence Qi grew also increased a lot. There are no shortcuts to practicing martial arts. Reaching the heavens in a single step is a pipe dream. Cultivating step by step is the best way to practice martial arts. The essence Qi in Li Fan's body steadily increased. The surrounding cicadas' chirping gradually stopped, and what replaced it was the concerto of frogs croaking. It was originally a pleasant sound of nature, but there was a hint of disharmony in it. Li Fan opened his eyes and glanced towards the balcony. He slowly stood up and stood in front of the window, looking at the ancient city under the moonlight. The remaining residents seemed to sleep very early at night, or rather, they did not like to light their lamps. It was only 6 o'clock, but the ancient city was already pitch black. Under the moonlight, it exuded a certain oppressive feeling. Chapter 1189. He had promised to call him for dinner in the evening, but there was no news from Mayor Hu. The surroundings were quiet. The ancient city seemed to be dead, and no one was awake. Li Fan heard some faint movements downstairs. He went down to the first floor. The originally dim chandelier on the first floor had been extinguished. Li Fan's eyes were dark, but he quickly adapted. The surrounding objects slowly appeared in front of Li Fan. In this dilapidated small house, there was only a sofa and an old wooden coffee table in the living room on the first floor. The floor of the living room was originally made of wood, but it was almost rotten. If one stepped on it, one would be afraid of sinking into it. Li Fan glanced at the sofa and found a person in a black cloak sitting on it. From the rhythm of the other party's breathing, Li Fan could tell that it was a woman. The other party suddenly jumped up from the sofa. She seemed to have adapted to the darkness. She looked at Li Fan's position and rushed over. She rushed into Li Fan's arms and was held by Li Fan with his right hand. The woman's fragrance drifted into Li Fan's nose, making Li Fan feel extremely good. This smell, it's Luoluo. Li Fan's left hand pressed down on Luoluo's wrist to prevent the sharp knife she was holding from stabbing into his lower abdomen. Beauty, isn't it a little too exciting to find me so late at night? Li Fan's voice rang in her ear. Get out of this town. The beauty growled. She seemed to be really angry. She desperately tried to pull her hand out of Li Fan's control, but Li Fan was so strong that no matter how she struggled, she could not escape from Li Fan's palm. She went crazy and used the weapon that women were best at, teeth. Luoluo bit Li Fan's wrist, trying to make him let go of her hand. Li Fan was worried that Luoluo's teeth would be broken, so he deliberately withdrew a part of his shield of vigor. His wrist was bitten until it bled, and a faint fishy smell wafted through the air. Luoluo was still biting on tightly, refusing to let go. Comrade Special Agent. At this moment, the light from the fire shone in and shone on Li Fan and the others. Mayor, who stood outside with a few black-robed men beside him. All of their faces were lowered, looking somewhat gloomy. Luoluo, stop messing around. Mayor, who ordered, and two burly men immediately stepped forward and dragged Luoluo away. Luoluo exerted a shocking amount of strength, but she was still biting down on Li Fan's hand, as if she was going to bite off a piece of flesh. Luoluo was forcibly taken away, and Mayor, who stood in front of Li Fan with an apologetic expression. There was some regret in his eyes, as if he was blaming himself for Luoluo's behavior. I'm really sorry, Comrade Agent. Because of her husband, Luoluo had always been mentally unstable. She doesn't mean any harm. She just doesn't like outsiders. Please don't be angry. It's nothing, just a small injury. The injury on Li Fan's wrist had already begun to heal, but there was a slight itch. Dinner has already been prepared in the government cafeteria. Comrade Agent, you must have been waiting for a long time. Let's go. Okay, I'll go wake up my colleagues. Li Fan said. This time, Dragon Lady could finally be a little happier. The two of them followed Mayor Hu and the others as they walked through the small town. However, Dragon Lady was still muttering. We still have to go to the government cafeteria to eat. It seems that the economy here is so backward that they don't even have a restaurant. Alright, it's good enough that we can eat a mouthful of hot rice. Li Fan reminded Dragon Lady with a voice transmission, be careful, I keep feeling that something is strange. Strange? What's strange? Dragon Lady's voice directly sounded in Li Fan's mind. This was the magical use of mental strength. I can't tell, but it's a little strange. Li Fan had a bad feeling about this, but he trusted his intuition. Alright, my beggar's chicken is still more important. Dragon Lady was a complete foodie. As long as she could eat, everything else could be left behind. The government cafeteria was still shabby, and it was filled with food. However, the food in Songshan town was relatively simple. Roasted potatoes, roasted sweet potatoes, and roasted eggplants were placed on the table in large plates. However, in the middle of the table, there was a beggar's chicken wrapped in mud, which attracted Dragon Lady's attention. The others didn't seem to be qualified to sit at the table, so Mayor Hu invited Li Fan and the others to sit down. Beside him, a girl in a black cloak poured wine for them. Come, have a taste. This is the snake wine I brewed myself. It's very nourishing. Mayor Hu invited them with great hospitality, but Dragon Lady ignored his persuasion and directly smashed the dried mud with her palm, revealing the tender and crispy chicken inside. For a moment, the fragrance assailed their nostrils. Li Fan was too embarrassed to refuse. He also picked up the wine cup, and the smell of wine assaulted his nostrils. This medicinal wine wasn't something that could be casually drunk. As the saying goes, if one's body was weak, drinking medicinal wine casually would easily cause a nosebleed. However, Li Fan was proficient in essence qi, so he could convert this tonic wine into energy. Let me tell the two of you, that stone dragon cave is very strange. Mayor Hu drank while talking to Li Fan endlessly. It seemed that he was a little drunk. Once he started talking, he couldn't stop himself. I'm an atheist, but now I also feel that the stone dragon cave is haunted. Otherwise, why would the people in this town disappear for no reason? Don't think about it, I'm here to solve this problem for you. Wait until tomorrow, the truth will naturally be revealed. Then this cup of wine, just treat it as a farewell for you, comrade. Mayor Hu picked up the wine cup again. Come, let's drink together. Dragon Lady spat out the last piece of chicken bone. This chicken was probably not even enough to fill the gap between her teeth. Since the mayor wants us to drink, let's drink. Li Fan advised. Alright. Dragon Lady didn't refuse Li Fan's request. She picked up the wine cup and drank it in one gulp. Good, 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 two comrades are really straightforward. Mayor Hu drank a cup, then took out a pistol from his waist and slapped it on the table. I'll personally accompany you. I want to see what the hell is in that stone dragon cave. Mayor. You. This is not safe. Someone next to him advised. What's not safe about it? Mayor Hu didn't care, the police chief is also missing, now I'm the police chief. If that's the case, Mayor Hu can follow us. Li Fan also didn't refuse, but when we get there, just listen to our arrangements. Alright, I and the lives of more than 100 people in this town, I'll leave it to you. Mayor Hu's face was flushed, seemingly a little excited, as if he hadn't been this happy for a long time. Two special agent comrades, when do you think we should leave? Then let's go now, Mayor Hu, please. Chapter 1190. Mayor Hu, together with two townspeople, holding a torch, led Li Fan and the dragon girl along the path, climbed up a hill, and soon arrived in front of a dark cave. Li Fan felt a gust of cold wind coming from the cave. The torch was shaken by the wind, and the flames seemed to be extinguished at any moment. Mayor Hu held the pistol and pointed it at the cave. Two comrades, that monster is hiding in this cave. It is said that drinking boosts courage. The usually calm Mayor Hu now looks quite heroic, as if he is ready to die. Mayor Hu, are you sure you want to go in with us? Li Fan is not afraid. No matter what kind of monster it is, with his strong internal force, he is not afraid of not being able to defeat it. But if there is a strong opponent, it will make him a little excited. Li Fan is a standard martial artist, and he likes to challenge experts for fun. Let's fight it out with them today. Mayor Hu exhaled the smell of alcohol and angrily shouted, if this goes on, I won't be able to be the mayor anymore. If that's the case, I might as well fight it out with them. Li Fan looked at the Type 54 pistol in Mayor Hu's hand to boost his courage. He has already put down the safety, and the muzzle is pointing to the ground. Okay, then Mayor Hu, don't get separated from us. As Li Fan spoke, he had already taken the lead and entered the cave. The cave is dark. Mayor Hu, with a pistol in one hand and a torch in the other, followed Li Fan. The dragon girl and Li Fan are almost inseparable. She is also holding a roasted sweet potato in her hand, eating while following behind. Li Fan feels that this girl is not here to do a task, but to travel. This place is quite beautiful. With the light of the torch, the surrounding stone forest can be seen everywhere. The jagged rocks were colorful, as if they had entered another world. This kind of beautiful cave, coupled with an ancient city, is indeed attracting tourists. No wonder there used to be so many tourists in Song Town, it is indeed beautiful. It's beautiful. Mayor Hu looked at the beautiful scenery here, and his eyes are somewhat blurred. This was the place where the mayor of this town changed his life. This place is simply a gift from the heavens, bestowed upon the townspeople of Songshan town. It's a pity that they didn't cherish it and wasted the heavens' good intentions. So many years have passed. Haven't they become more obedient? Li Fan asked. Obedient? Mayor, who seemed to be taking advantage of the alcohol and began to speak his mind. Most of the young people have left Song town. The ones that remain here are just some orphans and widows, as well as some lazy fellows. These lazy fellows don't do proper work. Every day, they just rob and barge. Do you know Luoluo? Do you know how her husband became paralyzed? He was beaten up by those people. Let's not talk about the others. When I first arrived, I was still in bed. They pulled me out of bed, stripped me naked, and hung me in the square for an entire day. Li Fan frowned. Are the local police not going to do anything? Oh, the local police chief is from the same family as them. He turns a blind eye to what they do. Didn't you report it to the higher-ups? I did, but they only told me that Song town is nationalized and difficult to manage. They asked me to be patient and deal with it slowly. In other words, the higher-ups have given up on Song town. Li Fan heard the reason. Not only Song town, they even gave up on me. Mayor, who smiled bitterly. I just figured out why I was transferred to this barren place when I was doing a good job. When I was in the district, I offended some people because I wanted to crack down on the illegal cars in the district. You've seen the result. So, what are you trying to say? Li Fan looked at Mayor, who in front of him. The light from the fire and the stone in the cave reflected on his face, making his expression particularly twisted and ferocious. So, someone has to come out and punish these people. Mayor, who swept the torch to the side, and a dark cave behind him was illuminated. Li Fan looked inside. There were many corpses hanging in this cave. Some of them were even wearing police uniforms. Obviously, they were the police of this town. Their expressions were extremely twisted when they died, as if they were terrified at the moment of death. Their bodies were dripping with blood. Some were missing arms, some were missing legs. All of them looked miserable. And the dragon girl was calmly eating sweet potatoes at the side, as if the stench and the disgusting scene had nothing to do with her. These people, although their souls are stinky, their flesh is fragrant. Mayor, whose smile became more and more twisted. Li Fan's elemental energy was slowly rising. Actually, I'm still quite worried. Before, that silly girl Luo always wanted to drive you guys away, probably because she was afraid that I would eat you guys. She doesn't understand me, and I'm so good to her. You really have a heavy taste. The dragon girl finally complained. Human flesh tastes so bad. But human flesh can prolong life. Mayor, whose eyes were full of excitement. You guys have heard my experience. I was transferred here to be the mayor 30 years ago. At that time, I was 50 years old. But first, I'm 80 years old now, but look at me, I'm only 40 years old, right? Human flesh can indeed prolong life, but ordinary eating methods are useless. The dragon girl was very familiar with these things. You are the magical beast of this town. Magical beast? No, I'm an immortal. Mayor, who laughed. That monkey's son, before Zhu Beiji became a Buddha, didn't he eat human flesh? Oh right, you two are guests from afar, right? If I use something like beggar's chicken to entertain you, I'm afraid you'll say that I'm not a good host. I'm very generous. Oh right, look at this guy. Mayor, who grabbed the corpse of the policeman beside him. He's the police chief here. He's been dead for 20 years. The uglier the person, the more fragrant the meat. So, I've kept him until now, and I'm not even willing to eat him. Oh right, don't worry, this cave has a special composition. The corpses placed here, even after 100 years, are still vivid and lifelike, and their flesh doesn't rot. So, back then, the emperor came here because he wanted this place to be his imperial mausoleum. Mayor, who seemed a little excited. He gesticulated with his hands and feet on the police chief's corpse. This is the thigh meat, it's the chewiest. This is the buttocks, the rear buttocks are soft, it's the most suitable for frying. Oh right, this is the most tender meat, the neck meat. The meat here is the essence of the whole body, dipped in salt and eaten raw, it's the best. The two of you, look, which one do you want to eat? Chapter 1191. Eating meat was indeed a field of study. Li Fan looked at Mayor Hu with an indescribable disgust in his heart. I didn't expect Mayor Hu to have such a deep understanding of eating meat. You are indeed hospitable to your guests, but unfortunately, we don't eat human flesh. Yeah, human flesh is too unpalatable. Dragon Girl curled her lips, that's why your taste is too heavy. I can't stand you. You've also eaten human flesh? Mayor Hu sniffed and said, no. I just smelled it. You don't smell like a human. What are you? You don't deserve to know. Dragon Girl sneered, a low-level demonic beast like you only deserves to die of laziness here. Okay, I won't quarrel with you. I'm a civilized person. Anyway, both of you are my dinner. I need to think about how to eat you. You may be mistaken. With a smile on his face, Li Fan put his hands in his pockets and said slowly, you may be looking down on us. You're looking down on me. Mayor Hu licked his lips, no one has come to this town for a long time. Do you think these townspeople are still human? Mayor Hu blew the whistle, and the originally quiet cave was suddenly flooded in one after another. These townspeople were all wearing black cloaks and holding torches in their hands. The light from the torches shone on their faces, reflecting their twisted expressions. The human flesh in the cave was not enough to eat. Only by replenishing fresh human flesh could they continue to live. You have nowhere to run. Be obedient and become our food. With that, these people raised their torches and surrounded Li Fan and the others. Kill them. Mayor Hu pointed at Li Fan and the others. The townspeople behind him immediately rushed over. Each of them was holding iron rods or kitchen knives. Each of them looked ferocious and full of desire, as if they couldn't wait to bite off Li Fan and the others' necks. With his hands still in his pockets, Li Fan turned around and kicked a townspeople's head. These are no longer humans, right? Li Fan stood there with one leg raised in mid-air and said with a smile, then I won't stand on ceremony. He turned around and kept kicking. The guillotine was activated, and the heads of the townsfolk around him were sent flying. The power of the guillotine made even the royal guards tremble, let alone the demonized townspeople. In the blink of an eye, at least 7 or 8 townsfolk around Li Fan had their heads blown off. But the weird thing was that the decapitated townspeople didn't vomit blood. They just fell to the ground without moving at all. Has he completely lost his humanity? The dragoness sighed. How pitiful. What joy is there in living like this? Mayor Hu looked at the headless townspeople who were kicked to the ground and frowned. Who are you people? A problem solver. Li Fan continued to kick people's heads and replied casually, didn't you invite us here to solve the problem, Mayor Hu? I just hope to send some food. Mayor Hu let out a low roar, there's not enough food to eat. Last time, a group of soldiers ate it all. We need fresh food. I still have half a sweet potato, do you want to eat it? The dragoness handed over the half-sweet potato in her hand. Bastard! You guys drank my medicinal wine, why are you fine? Mayor Hu couldn't understand. Your knockout drug is nothing compared to Song Fuya's poison. Li Fan smiled. Impossible, even an elephant can be knocked out. How should I say this, both of us are a little stronger than an elephant. Nonsense, how can an elephant, that cute little animal, be compared to me? The dragoness suddenly swallowed her saliva, by the way. I want to eat elephant meat, especially the elephant trunk, it will be delicious when it's done, you're as perverted as this Mayor Hu. Humph, I've just eaten a little more. The dragoness said as she reached out her hand and pushed away a townspeople who was near her. That townspeople was like being hit by a cannonball. His body flew out for dozens of meters and smashed into a stone wall behind him. His bones were broken into pieces. Damn it! You monsters! Mayor Hu raised his pistol. It was a Type 54 pistol from the early years. It should have belonged to the chief of police. He aimed at Li Fan and continuously pulled the trigger. Bang, bang, bang. The bullets hit the surrounding walls, causing rubble to fly everywhere, and the ricocheting bullets knocked down the townspeople nearby. You still need to practice your marksmanship. Li Fan winked at Mayor Hu. Damn it. Mayor Hu calmed himself down, held the pistol, and carefully aimed at Li Fan. Bang! He fired again, and the gunshot echoed in the cave. Li Fan raised his foot and directly kicked the bullet away. The bullet drew a golden trail and bounced on the nearby stalactite, shattering a hanging stalactite. Impossible! You monster! It's not appropriate for you to say that. Li Fan laughed. He kept kicking, and his body seemed to leave after images, kicking down more than a dozen townspeople in a row. Guillotine. With this move, Li Fan continued to harvest other people's lives. Hurry up, I want to go back to eat. The dragoness urged. Got it. Although Li Fan said so, he stood in place. He stretched out his right hand and gathered his primordial chi, and the surrounding rubble immediately gathered toward his palm. These rubble were crushed and then kneaded together. Soon, it condensed into a palm-sized stone sword. This stone sword was glowing with a gray luster, which made Mayor Hu shudder. Puff! The stone sword suddenly left his hand and instantly drew a gray shadow. Almost in an instant, it pierced through the necks of several townspeople. More than 100 townspeople were all killed on the spot. Only Mayor Hu was still standing there. He, but to his surprise, Mayor Hu laughed. Have you gone crazy? Li Fan tilted his head and looked at Mayor Hu. It seems that eating too much human flesh also affects one's intelligence. Although I'm a little unhappy, I still have to thank you. Mayor Hu put down his pistol. This Songshan town, more than 100 people are too many. My food reserves are not enough for them to eat. Now that you've helped me get rid of them, it's also a good thing. I can also leave this place and go to other cities. There's more food there, and I don't need to eat fresh keeping products, right? Unfortunately, you won't have this opportunity. As Li Fan spoke, his body flashed and suddenly appeared in front of Mayor Hu. Then, he kicked his head. Mayor Hu took 2 steps back. Suddenly, dozens of black threads flew out of his neck, along with his head, and then forcibly pulled his head back and reattached it.